Hello there, everybody, and welcome to the SAC Qualifier 4 for Season 9. My name is K-Bot, joined by Siren, who is laughing for some reason today early on. What's funny, Siren?
I was laughing because I got a new phone recently, and I'm used to my very quiet Pixel 6, and I got an iPhone, and it made a ding noise the second we went live, and I was like, oh no. Better switch that. I'm not used to these things. So,
yeah, classic.
A little embarrassment.
Excited to be here, of course. Final qualifier of the SAC season before we get into the finale in 2 weeks. Don't quote me on that, right? It's 2 weeks.
About
December
that.
7th. Yeah, okay, so it is 2 weeks. Yeah, I was right. Yeah.
I love math.
Math, is that math? Does it count as math?
Yeah, if you're adding days, it's like 7 days to go to 30, and then another 7 on top of that.
Except you have to know whether or not it's a 30-month or 31-month, which I suppose is also math when you put in your knuckles together and count.
No, you don't, because there's no way that it would become the range. December 7th is always going to be 2 weeks away, regardless if there's 30 days or 31 days, because that's just how weeks work. That's just how, you know what I mean? There's no way it's going to ever be December 5th, because SAC happens on a weekend. So it's right?
Sure.
It's math. It's math. You know there's a range of days that 2 weeks is from now.
All right. Anyway.
This isn't looking so promising early on.
Yeah, you know what? We'll get into the Splatoon thing as we get into our first match. This one is between Wavebreaker and Rewind. Previously, Wavebreaker beat this team 2 weeks ago in Qualifier 3 to a score of 3-1 in the bracket stage. So, have to imagine for a round 1 matchup, they'd be feeling pretty confident in this, but of course, always an opportunity for Rewind to come back around, but already Drag jumping down with the carbon roller, trying to cause some chaos.
Yes, I'm very familiar with how Drag plays, and that's very much up their alley. They're going to run right at your face there and just try and cause some chaos very early on in the game there. Horsch going to be able to get that pick onto Tarat. and that's going to give them a bit of an opening here. They're going to be able to cap this zone here. I imagine. I mean, this is ship shape, so it'll take a while.
Everything all funnels down into the one spot. It's a little more difficult to get a firm hold, given by the fact that you've got to control the top half of the map. And it's not as easy to control the top half of the map from the bottom, just because it is relatively high up there in comparison to a lot of other maps that you see. But already, see Wavebreaker starting to establish themselves. Booyah Bomb coming in from Porsche, thrown over to the top left side, trying to help out at least one of the members up there, but still can't fully break through. Looks like they are able to take control of the zone, but just how much more will they be able to extend? You see one player going in, immediately going to get taken out, not playing with the rest of the team, and now we see the rest of the engagement come through. Drag going to get behind the grab tank, but not before Rewind flips the zone right back.
Rewind flipping that zone, but it feels like they don't quite remember where Drag is sitting at the moment, and therefore Drag is able to get the pick onto Peaches there onto that side of the map. Drag once again sitting there sharking, relying on the fact that Rewind might not be capitalizing on their object permanence here, and so that does allow Raze to move up a bit farther here. Going to be popping that Inkjet, getting the pick onto that corner there with the help of their teammate, and looks like they're actually finally starting to control some of this court space here. Neither of these teams so far in this match have been able to really progress much further than the zone. And so we're starting to see that moving into the halfway point of this game. With that being said, though, Reef Slider very infamous for being able to cap that zone right away. And Tetra is going to once again capitalize on the enemy side of the map here.
Does get one before going down. Trade still on top of the zone, back and forth, keeping this rather neutral overall. That's going to play to the favor of Rewind, who's quickly going to pick back up control of the zone, but they've got to get over the top side as Raze is getting set up on that right side and starting to fire down. I just realized this was Rez versus Raze. That's not confusing at all whatsoever. Drag comes away with one, and now we'll be looking to find their next target, looking towards this Dynamo roller here, which is the interesting thing. We've got two rollers in the game, but of course, one, the Dynamo, very slow, The other Carbon, the complete opposite, looking like Carbon Roller isn't getting the work done. Finally, though, we see the cap of the zone for Wavebreaker. And they will hopefully be starting to tick down this penalty, although they've got to sniff out where Rewind is sitting. They've identified the location, but they can't quite get up there.
Yeah, noticing where all the members of Rewind are funneling into, trying to get back control of the zone here is going to be crucial for them. We do see here Tree is going to be pushing up here with that NSAP. Hopefully going to be able to get that cooler out once again. It feels like they kind of popped it there, but weren't able to win that fight in conjunction with it. And that is going to allow the Tetras onto the side of Rewind to push all the way up into the spawn of Wavebreaker here. They have just 13 seconds left on that penalty before they start ticking down towards that knockout. And so therefore they're going to go in guns a-blazing pretty much here, trying to make sure they do anything to slow the members of Rewind down from getting towards that zone.
Already coming in, all the specials popped, but it's just too little too late. The Booyah Bomb doesn't get off in time to neutralize the zone or cap it for Wavebreaker, and Rewind actually taking game one here. Now, remember, they did win a game when these two teams last fought 2 weeks ago, but even still, able to come out on top in relatively convincing fashion. You know, one of the things in that one was they were able to kind of stick around on the top side of the map for quite some time. We mentioned that it was a little bit more difficult to control that area, but as they kept coming through, actually did a good job of hanging around, staying alive for a decent while longer, and were able to connect back up with their teammates to come back into the zone.
Yeah, and I do have to commend Rewind for their strategy towards the end of the game. That is one of the most infamous maps in Splat Zone. Who's going to play Rat and just cap the zone consistently, like a junior, or just something that pains a lot. So I think at those points in the game there where you can recognize that you have very low penalty, that's the time when you want to just be playing maybe a little bit more reckless, because you know your opponent is not going to be able to cap the zone quick enough to deal with things, even if you fail your strategy there. It's actually worth it to almost play worse there. So, hey, whatever gets you that dub very early on there is going to be big for them, right?
Yeah. Hey, taking game one anytime it can, give you a little bit of momentum as we get later along in this series. And so we'll see what happens. Of course, it is play all three in the Swiss stage. So teams will have 4 rounds to try to earn a spot in that highest gold bracket. And every team that plays today has the opportunity to earn points towards the leaderboard, and the top 8 teams on that leaderboard, I believe. Is it 12? It's 12. 12 teams. I read 8 somewhere else earlier today, and then I was false. So 12 teams on the leaderboard will advance onward to the finale. So certainly the last opportunity here for these teams to rack up some points, and a lot of these teams will be looking to do that, especially these rosters that haven't played as consistently heading into this one. Similar to the 2 teams that we see now have been around, but want to add those couple of extra points as we get later on here.
Yeah, and with that being said, with it being Swiss, every game counts when you're trying to squeeze into those last points in the qualifier there. With this being tower control on this particular map, it's kind of a bit of a funnel here. So early fights are going to matter the most. Drag getting onto the side there, taking out that Dynamo, spots another member of Rewind under that canopy there. Porsche is going to move up onto the left there, playing quite aggressively here, but not really quite in the same path the tower is moving there. So we pan back, and it looks like Rewind won that fight on that side of the map, which is really what matters if you're defending here at the end of the day. Peach is going to get it onto that tower. Drag once again just sharking around this map, trying to find avenues and getting behind their opponents here.
Yeah, but now forced backwards, and We already see the Dynamo come up here. Is going to get punished for extending that far forward. But even still, Rewind in a very solid position here. That Crab Tank buys them a little bit more space. Now the Zuka comes out, forces Rez off the tower. But even still, they're hanging around. Looks like they're going to be dissuaded from moving much further. We do see that Reef Slider launch forward. Now that causes enough of a distraction for Omega to come back in on the side, take care of Drag, and Rewind has reestablished themselves here without giving so much control away. They'll clear past this first checkpoint, which is a very early advantage.
Yeah, we see this bubble popped here from Trees. That Crab Tank, once again, rolling out onto the tower, but it's taken out very early. That's going to be 2 down onto the side of Rewind. Might see Wavebreaker taking this tower back, but Omega getting 2 picks out of the blue. More jumps are coming back in, and it looks like they're going to be able to sustain this push much further.
Hits that with the Killer Whale, comes through for a couple of picks there, and now Rewind in position. Drag coming up from behind. Omega has to respond and does. Is able to get that one taken down. But of course, the rest of the members of Rewind are nowhere to be seen. And Wavebreaker will take back over control of the tower. But they've got to be careful here. They're already rushing into mid. Resources from Rewind are getting popped towards the middle of the map here. Here comes the Inkjet looking for something. And this is the perfect perch for it on that higher left side. Reyes is able to find one under Reyes. And then we'll move through towards that tower. They're approaching this first checkpoint, and Big Bubbler is still here. Probably going to despawn somewhat soon, and there it goes. But even still, first checkpoint cleared. Wavebreaker's got the momentum. There's another pick coming in from Drag Zuka.
Yes, Drag Zuka getting 2 of them. Now they're getting onto that 3rd checkpoint. They might just get the lead here. That Reef Slider is going to do huge numbers there, taking out Rat onto the side of Rewind. And that is going to be the lead for them. Horsch getting farther up into their spawn here. It's just going to be Trees left on the tower. Only 2 up on the side of Wavebreaker, but they do have that bubble to defend them from much further. Going to get the lead all the way up to 13, which is pretty big on this map. It's going to be hard for them to defend that, given the circumstances of what's going on here. So they do need to be careful. There's 1 minute and 30 seconds left for Rewind to recoup what they just lost, but it's very doable. So I think both teams need to be very careful about their next steps moving into the last minute of this game here, because everything counts now.
Peach is incredibly aggressive right now on this Dynamo roller, and actually using those super jumps quite effectively. Is going to get called out by the faster roller, but Trades in the middle caused this push basically to nullify. We're going to see the reset here come in, and the Crab Tank's already burned from Rewind. So even at the moment, they don't have a lot of specials to try to break back through. They're going to have to build that up, and they might only get 1, maybe 2 chances left if they're lucky to coordinate all of their specials. And already Wavebreaker is looking and poised to respond and take care of business. Horsch taking down 2 there, now starts to dive in, looking for even a 3rd. Not going to find it before going down, but even still, the middle of the map is still pink.
Yeah, the middle of the map is pink, and that is going to allow members like Drag to move around freely, basically live as a threat to the members of Rewind there, because they don't really like the idea of moving up further while knowing that Drag is still alive. So obviously they're going to be trying to paint up as much as possible, trying to find Drag before Drag finds them. They're going to be popping out of this tower here, but they're kind of bunched up just a little bit. We do see Reese has that Crab Tank, is holding onto it a little bit longer. That baby bubble is going to get shredded immediately. And looks like Crab Tank's getting pushed off that tower for the time being, but Drag finds them and gets the 2 picks down.
Oh, it's not enough, though. There was so much happening. Everyone rushing towards the tower there at the very end, knowing that they either need to stay on top of it or knock their opponents off and touch it once. Wavebreaker will come away with the victory there, holding it on at the very end. And once again, goes to show just how much needs to go right in an overtime push in order to try to make something happen, right? So much has to come together there at the very end. Unfortunately, too high of a hill to climb. And now we're heading to a game 3 that will be the decider in this series.
That's pretty exciting. I mean, I kind of saw this coming from before the set even started. When you mention these kinds of rivalries and these matches that have happened before where one team didn't quite have like a landslide victory, I like to think of it as, all right, well, we know what we're going into. We know the teams that we have to beat going into this version of sack, right? So we can kind of look at those matchups we had before and analyze them and see, what do we have to do this time to beat them? How could we improve upon what we did before? So that's where these underdog teams kind of come to shine, in my opinion, at least.
Certainly the case, and it's anyone's game on any given day, right? They're close enough in skill level to the point where you could see this go one way or the other. Of course, Wavebreaker will be looking to hold on. Rewind will be looking to equalize the score here in this one. As we head on to Game 3, it'll be Clam Blitz on Crableg Capital, which is a map that I haven't seen in quite some time. But, hey, here we are. That's the map that was pulled out of the algorithm and the one that'll be used here in this final one. Now, it'll be interesting to see whether or not Peaches will stick with this Dynamo roller, which feels like it can be a presence, but also isn't going to have a lot of mobility or entry options. So I'm curious to see what this composition is going to be. Nope, sticking with that Dynamo roller. All right, composition remaining the exact same virtually on both sides as we get into this one.
Yeah, oh.
No, never mind. We're not getting into this one.
I don't know what happened there. If that was it, I just saw the X on the screen the moment the map came up.
I saw the classic. It takes a little too long in the intro sequence, and then you start to get a little unsettled. It's like, come on, just let me play the game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think something may have gone a little wrong during that last Splatoon update. Were you watching SOS at all, or like following what was happening in that tournament whatsoever? Oh my gosh, there was so many disconnects. I was subbing for Triggerfish Zones, and there was one game we had where both teams had run out of DC replays, and so we played out an entire game where 2 people DC'd from each team. Like, it literally ended in a match of Dual Link.
Oh,
it was truly beautiful.
That's awful.
Yeah. So and it was it was nobody's fault, I think.
Yeah.
No one had bad net from either team. It was just the game exploding. We had tried switching hosts, and it wasn't consistent who was DCing either. It was just that's how it was. So hopefully, I'd like to believe this is the case, and maybe for the remainder of the tournament, these teams don't really deal with these net issues. But we saw at the beginning of that first game there as well, the very long startup time before the match started. So hopefully things are resolved, but
hopefully we'll see. I'd hate to see a match come down to Game 3 and be decided by a TC, especially in your first round of the day. It's like, it just doesn't set the tone right for the remainder of it. We're getting right on back into it, though, this time with a pretty normal load time into our map. Once again, Clam Blitz on Crableg Capital, and as we get into this one, it'll be interesting here. Peaches has been playing incredibly aggressively on this Dynamo roller as the player that I'm looking out for the most. How will they be enabled to run forward and put in that downfall of Ink, or is it going to be another player coming through like the Tetris here, picking up 2 at the very beginning, and that opens the door for Rewind early in this game?
Yeah, you see Omega getting up on that top right there. Horsch is going to be able to stop things, is moving back up into mid, is charging up that reef slider rather quickly and getting close to their opponent's ramp. So I would definitely be scared if I am the one on the opposing side of that. But looking at these comps, they actually each have a Tetra, so they can both do that exact same strategy, just a little bit here, which, when I first saw these comps in this map in particular, I kind of thought, well, I don't know how this is going to pan out, because I'm used to seeing like some sort of charger or pencil, just something super long range, but neither of these teams really have that tool, so that they're going to have to pick up alternatives that work against the other team specifically, which is a little strange, but I think it's going to lead to a lot of aggressive play, which is fun to watch.
Yeah. Certainly, it's very fast-paced at this point because these shorter range weapons need to actually assert themselves to guard any space away from the enemy team. And of course, you have to find a way to enter here, which is exactly what Horsch tries to do on the Reef Slider. Race is going to come up here, find that one into the basket. Now Ray's stuck in the inkjet. Drag comes up with a couple, and now all of a sudden they've gotten 2 power clams in. We'll see if they can find any more. It doesn't look like that'll be the case. This horse is going to start to back away. Actually going to get 1, maybe 2 on the exit. No, never mind. But even still, Wavebreaker actually solidifies themselves in mid here, which doesn't give an easy push away to Rewind.
Yeah, you see a lot of color here taken up by Wavebreaker, and it feels like Rewind might be just charging up a little bit more. They don't really have any specials on deck just yet, so at this time, they're going to want to be playing it safe a little bit, but I eat my words, as it's really just Rees left to defend the basket by themselves here. That 1 power clam isn't going to do anything for their points right off of the bat. They're going to have to get more points outside of that as well, and more points they will get as once again they get another power clam, and they're not a singular, just individual clam has touched that basket this game from either teams. Actually, they're really only going in for those larger dunks, it looks like.
Yeah. And hey, sometimes that's incredibly helpful, right? At the end of the day, if you can it's about efficiency, right? Get as many points as you can on the board in that short of a time, and sometimes power clams are the right strategy, but it would be nice to see these teams establish themselves. But to that end, they don't have a lot of tools to establish themselves, but the Reef Slider actually comes up with 2, and now Drag is going to get taken out as well. There's the wipeout. It's suddenly Rewind has a really solid push here. They're going to be able to find the lead. How much longer will they be able to stick around for? I guess we'll have to see. They don't have any more clams online at the moment. In fact, their pity clam is sitting back underneath that basket. Someone dropped back, and now here's the crab tank jump just comes in, and it's going to seal the deal. Rewind with a fantastic push there. Gets it down, I believe, from 80, that was, just for the knockout. Well done to them there at the end of that game.
Yeah, what a comeback from them. You saw them taking all of those great angles. You had your heavy edit. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot the name of the weapon. It was up on that top right there, just charging up that crab, letting their opponents come in through the other directions while they cause a bit of a distraction, and they capitalized on a lot of the resources that they were absorbing from Wavebreaker, because obviously you don't want that edit up there. You can't really ignore them, but at the same time, there's like 3 other paths they need to look out for. So good job there, honestly.
Yeah, and hey, the other thing too, right, is the strengths of slower weapons are that when you get them in position and when you can play around them well, suddenly things will start to make a little bit more sense, right? The second, when you're trying to rush in with that slower weapon, like Peach is sometimes trying to do, it doesn't work out. But when you get set up with the rest of your team, you can be quite a presence on the map, right? A Dynamo Roller played a role. The Tetra is obviously a much faster moving weapon, but gets settled and slotted in with a Reef Slider somewhere, and then that comes up with a huge play, able to open up the door, not only on the ink on the floor, but also taking care of a couple opponents and mitigating those threats as well. So hats off there to Rewind for coming away with that push and eventually realizing their win condition to succeed.
Yeah, they found it and they got it. It looked like they were really in danger for a while there as well. Wavebreaker had been getting all these great pushes onto them. They were winning those fights. But at the end of the day there, you saw everybody on the side of Rewind contributing to getting that knockout and finishing that game before it could go much further, which is very, very commendable. I've had games like that myself, where it's just now or never. And I'm glad they were able to find it.
And it was now for Rewind, but hopefully they'll be able to rewind to the past to replicate that performance in their future games today. Speaking of those future games, of course, we're in the Swiss stage waiting for a couple more results to wrap up. So we will take a break to step aside for Swiss round 2, but don't go anywhere. That's coming up as soon as we can get it live. Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to the SAC Season 9 Qualifier number 4. My name is K-Bot, joined by Siren. We just watched a Game 3, of which there were actually a decent number of deciding Game 3s, or at least 2-1 series, across both of our groups in the last one. Actually, what I count, 1, 2, and 5. 5 total matches out of like 16 that were complete sweeps. So a lot of closer matches in this first round, and hopefully that will continue as we move forward here. Let's take a look at our teams we're watching for round 2. It is Royalty versus Lunar Eclipse. This Royalty team, Siren, seems like they're a little bit of an unknown quantity, but they did beat a Petrichor roster in round 1.
All right, I see you. Okay, Royalty. So maybe a bit of an underdog today. Maybe they've been getting that grind in. Maybe they're locked in. Who knows? Either way, you'll love to see it. One of ours
just had their net explode. That's
The
well,
internet explode.
lovely.
Sorry, I gotta make fun of spelling.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't know if that means we have some time to kill. I guess that's the
It
implication.
probably does. Yeah, it almost assuredly does.
Yeah,
So
or it could just be that curse I was talking about earlier.
yeah,
You
the
know
curse
how
of the patch.
update, yeah, just
Ooh.
destroying everyone's internet. Ooh.
Ooh.
To be honest with you though, I have Pookie in the Sendo Q finals, so I've had that open a bit in another tab. Not even really paying attention to it. I haven't seen any DCs there, so I'm hoping maybe things have been fixed, and maybe it's just that one guy's internet. And maybe it is. They probably know it for sure because they probably exploded in the Discord call too, if that's what they had going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh,
that
well.
could be rough. Hopefully it's not like a bigger outage, or if it is, hopefully they have somebody they can grab quickly who's just ready to play. We do see 2, 4, 5 people at least on each roster. So on paper, that should mean they should be able to play. But who knows if that other person is there.
You never know with these teams. You know, sometimes they just decide who's playing, and the last person goes off to go do anything else on their weekend day, and
Yeah.
they don't expect to get called in, which happens more times than it probably should, but it does happen at every level. At every level.
Literally every level. Yeah, we had Go on, no, you first.
No, I was just reminded of how terrible it is to TO. Chat, thank your TOs. Just remember.
It probably didn't help that you were always TOing for events that like a lot of like public people from outside of the inner circle of the community we're in. So they were like, how do I make a PB? Help desk, please.
Yeah, I actually just was looking through that. For whatever reason, I decided a second ago. Well, I was trying to find something specific. So I did a Twitter search for my name from Bronze's Twitter account.
Okay, yeah.
And in scrolling through it, one of his tweets says, "God works hard, but K-bot works harder." And it's a screenshot from, I presume, like Nintendo event help desk, where your _local_emo asks, "Why did it ban me?" And I respond, "Because you were joining matches, immediately reporting that you won 2-0, and then went forward to a new match without actually playing any of your matches."
Oh my gosh.
All right. We're in, and there's an S-Blast in the game. Whoa.
Okay, actually, I've been seeing a lot more of those pop up, and I believe they got buffed this week, so there's new reasons to play it and give it a shot in this game. So maybe we'll see that highlighted a little bit here. So far, not quite seeing anything, but I don't eat my words, do I? No. What? All right. Well, that was just some spaghetti spilling over there on that side of the map from both players.
I would say Burst Bomb, Booyah Bomb actually sounds like a really decent kit for it.
Burst Bomb, Booyah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That actually looks out work well, but Lunar Eclipse looking like they're going to take the first control of the zone, thanks in no small part to that Ultra Stamp coming through from Tiny Kisser, and now picks up one, looking for a second as the rest of the team comes through. Inkjet in the air, but is going to start to not be able to get any further up there. Here comes the strikes, and that's going to get at least one person to the jumps, but the Wiper comes in once more to take through one, and actually Lunar Eclipse doing a decent job of holding on for now. It is going to get taken down. All right, finally it looks like this is going to switch around, but they held on for a surprisingly long amount of time.
Yeah, having that pencil parked up on top mid is a really, really good spot on this map. It's going to take a lot for the members of Lunar Eclipse to break back in here, though. Thunder going to get stuck, not able to paint their own feet just in time there. Ezio going to be popping that Zuka onto top mid as Tiny Kisser comes around and pops that hammer. Not quite finding any victims to it thus far, but it's causing a whole lot of chaos, and we're starting to, I suppose, triangulate the location of the remaining members of Royalty on this side of the map.
Starting to come through here now. See basically each zone trading colors as we're in neutral. One team was able to cap the opposing zone and vice versa. Now strikes come out here. Hopefully Royalty will be able to extend forward and they start rushing in. Able to get one is this S-Blast, looking for a second, trying to pair up with a teammate on that left side. But again, this Viper remains elusive. Gonna have to be careful here as now it steps up to the plate, finds one. Here's the Ultra Stamp. There's a second one going down, and Lunar Eclipse is poised to take back control, although two of the members going down. So actually, it's a 2v2, but you wouldn't know it just by watching this one player here. Finds a third, and finally the zones will get flipped back to blue.
Yes, and finally, Lunar Eclipse in a better spot to be holding top. Ezio going to be popping that Zuka thus far, but the remaining members of their team not quite moving up alongside it, and that kind of leads to the situation that we're seeing here now, where that cooler is getting popped on the side of Royalty. Thunder's going to be able to move through top mid and is able to spot out Ezio once again onto that Tetris, so that zone is capped back in their favor, but very quickly losing that fight is going to allow Lunar Eclipse one more chance to hold things maybe in a bit better fashion here. They're going to have to take up a little bit more real estate, though, I think, for this to be sustainable.
So it feels like every time that we see them get like a double, two other of their members go down on an opposite side of the map,
Yeah.
and they don't have as firm of a hold as you thought they might, based off of the play that was just made. Ezio going to be able to find one there with their Wiper player. Now, Splashdown come out here, escorting forward as the Wiper comes through, but this time doesn't do any damage. Even still, caused enough of a distraction, and now we're on the single mark. 9 ticks left to go here for Lunar Eclipse, as they're looking to take this game, but the jump immediately comes in. There is the capture of the zone, and while the penalty might have been applied, the immediate response from Lunar Eclipse is so swift.
Yeah, they're going to have to be very careful here. With the two zones, they can't just hold on to one forever here. They're going to have to apply some level of penalty, and penalty they will get onto them. But that's going to be another cap right away for the members of Lunar Eclipse. So we see Fern here getting up onto the Dome of Royalty as that hammer comes out as well, doing a great job at staying alive here. That cooler is going to be popped as well, which means that they're going to go guns blazing, moving further into the spawn here. They can afford to go down here, and it's just going to be that splatter shot left onto the side of Royalty. They are going to try and track them down. However, the Wiper is going to go down in the effort. Fern holding onto that splashdown, but not even being able to deploy it. A little bit of penalty left, but the strikes are coming out. The Booyah is coming out. Everybody is trying to cap this. Fox able to hold one side of the zone and just keep neutral for them, and that is going to be enough to prevent them from capping.
Yeah, well done to find the hold just on the one zone you need there at the very end on Umami. But Lunar Eclipse, for the vast majority of that game, looked dominant. They were playing a lot quicker. They had a lot faster responses, including with a lot of decent soon into our second game, which is Flame Blitz on Scorch Gorge. I was just about to look up which map it was going to be, and then it just came through. So there we are, and now S-Blast out, Luna Blaster in here for that. That's a zip past special. That'll be perhaps interesting, especially trying to cause that disruption. But again, a little bit slower, also probably going to need to be supported more by the rest of the team. It's a very quick pick early here for Lunar Eclipse, who is already rushing forward.
Yeah, Tiny Kiss are going to be jumping back to that cooler popped by Ezio, and you can see they're trying to take care of a lot of this midsection here, and really find their opponents as soon as possible. But honestly, it kind of has been resulting in these little micro fights happening in each corner of the map, and nothing further is coming out of it here. Neither of these teams really holding on too much for the clam economy. Thunda is going to be at least getting up on that snipe there, but with that being said, there's still that hammer coming out in mid, getting the pop. What? Getting the pick on Ezio, getting the pick on a Thunda. Oh. A Tiny Kisser, hello?
Well done here. Twoomy is the primary player here, going by that alternate name for fun, I guess, suppose, today, and has been playing incredibly well so far on this Platana Wiper, and is definitely being a incredibly big threat for Lunar Eclipse, and has been a decent chunk of their success up to this point. Now, though, actually coming through on the backside, able to pick off two before the push gets going for Royalty, just in the nick of time, preventing this from happening. Now Royalty has to try to scramble to regroup, and they're going to take at least some space here, but they're not going to have quite as solid of a push. Finally, a power claim goes in, but it looks like it's only going to be that one before the rest go down, and they're forced to retreat.
Yeah, getting onto the pick onto Blush there is actually going to be huge there. David going to be picking up the remainder of clams that are left in mid. That's just going to be a push down to 80, which is it's honestly peanuts on this map, but that cooler is going to be coming out, so we do see a bit more of an effort of Lunar Eclipse to take some space here, play a little bit more up in your face. That splashdown is going to be coming out as well, but now my question is, what is left for the push that's upcoming here? They do have that pity clam they haven't touched under their basket as well, but Fox taking this top mid section here isn't quite able to find the picks they may have wanted, and is going to be getting picked off by the slosher Joa?
Or okay, Mario?
you tell me how that slosher's name is pronounced, please.
Wah! That's literally what you just said. All right, anyway, here comes maybe a push from Lunar Eclipse, escorted in by the Ultra Stamp. No, that gets denied, but now the follow-up from the Zuka comes through. 2 down on both sides as the strikes come out in response, and Lunar Eclipse doesn't get around this bend. They'll have to regroup with a few more specials, actually close to another Zuka already, and it's about raring to go just right away. Here it comes out again from Ezio, looking for some damage, but doesn't have a target in mind. Not going to be as successful, and there was one person already going forward. Lunar Eclipse not being as successful here in kind of coordinating those pushes, and it takes a decent bit of effort to get around that bend on that right side on Scorch Gorge. We'll see whether or not they're able to here. Fox going to be able to find one, and now the Ultra Stamp coming through again. Here comes another Zuka. Maybe the third time's the charm. It's at least going to allow Fox to start sneaking in on the left side, but the power clam is forced to retreat as the fight goes sour on that right elbow once more, and they are still stuck in mid.
Look, I know I'm going to eat my words in just a second here, but this has to be the lowest scoring Scorch Gorge clams I have ever seen in my life. We have all these aggressive weapons on paper. Like, we have Fern here on that Nautilus, so things should be moving a little bit further. They do have that splashdown. I'm ready for some splashdown cheese. We just have to get towards their basket. Let's start moving. Come on.
Not able to find that one there either. Gonna get taken down, and these specials just aren't coming up for Lunar Eclipse right now. The Zuka, the one that you might expect is forcing the most picks, just hasn't been able to find him up to this point, and the rest of the specials don't really give a lot of actual splat power towards these players. Now, here comes the Zuka for Royalty. They're able to find a couple here. David forced to retreat for just a moment as there was enough pressure there on that top side. They're looking to try to put another power clam in the basket, but frankly, it doesn't even matter because the game is over, Siren, and you did not have to eat your words. There was a single power clam thrown in the game, and it was Royalty putting it away, meaning that we're going to another decisive game 3.
Wow. All right. Well, what can I even say about that game? I don't want to be too harsh on these players, but like I feel like both teams were defending nothing. They were like, "Don't get over here. We have to defend this 80 push that we got. We got one power clam in. Don't touch me. Don't touch me." And like no one's engaging. When they do it, they just flop. So it just felt like both teams were defending nothing, and then they got one push through the entire game, and they're like, "This is it. That's the one. That's the one."
It felt like the engagements were attempted, certainly, but they were attempted at different times for different players, right? Like you would see the Ultra Stamp come through, and then the Zuka comes in after the Ultra Stamp, when in reality you would think that you would pop the Zuka first and try to get the Ultra Stamp into a position where it can start capitalizing on the fact that they were just displaced by the Zuka, right? Trying to pair these specials together a little bit better, I think, is really what they need to start doing.
Yeah.
And making more of a coordinated effort. Because, again, as I mentioned, it's harder to get around that elbow on Clam Blitz on Scorch Gorge, right? It's actually not just a given that you can waltz in and do whatever you want. And when you're going in alone and trying to get the job done, sure, maybe you get one or two, but then you sacrifice your own life, and there's something else going on the other side of the map that you're not even aware about that's actually preventing your team from moving in. We'll see whether or not these teams can make these coordinated pushes now as we head on to Rainmaker Museum, another map where you've got to be coordinated to get it up onto the opponent's platform.
All right, so... All right, I mean, I guess we're sticking with mostly the same comps, but now we're panning right to Thunder, the person I want to draw the most attention to. Does have the CRB. Yeah, I mean, it's a different pick for this map. They do have that Kraken, which is probably pretty good for pushing that. What?
They just rush down, blitz through that first one, or a little ramp off the center of the map, and they'll get the checkpoint, I guess. Sure,
Unbanned
Royalty.
putts 12 from Sack.
That's weird.
All right, well, we see Toomey here moving up into their spawn here with that Wiper, which is exactly what you want to be seeing here, especially with these early pushes into the game. Though that CRB Kraken, as I brought up before, is going to be coming in clutch, is able to clear that plat area, obviously something you don't want to be messing with right now. Immediately moving that Rainmaker back into the spawn of Lunar Eclipse. Thunder gonna go down, but is taking two with them. What a play.
Oh, but it doesn't matter because Twoomy was taking care of one on the backside, and so there's no one else to follow up on that play from Royalty. Once again, team not as together. It enables one player from the other opposite team to make a different play happen that completely mitigates anything you thought you might have had. And now it is still both these teams only have cleared that first checkpoint, and they'll need a real coordinated effort to get any more points on the board. We're seeing the chaos unfold. Specials pop either side. Twoomy is able to pick up one onto David, but again, one goes down on Lunar Eclipse's side here as well. Zuka looking towards the top side, now two down, but the Kraken is coming through from Thunder. It is going to take out the Rainmaker, and again, the Kraken does Kraken things. I love the fact that this special's in the game. Woohoo! Ezio is going to get taken down, but David now is in position to prevent this from getting up. And without everyone around and without the clearing out the path for the Rainmaker, someone's going to walk right forward and take care of business. Now it's Royalty's turn. to try to get a push going here. David's going to get taken down by Fox's Snipe Rider, but we're even still going to see Royalty start faltering on this range.
Yeah, that cooler is going to be coming out. It doesn't even need it to save there for popping that splashdown and getting out of a tricky situation, but only for a little bit there. Neither of these teams, I would have thought by now, but neither of these teams have actually been able to push that Rainmaker further than that initial checkpoint. So honestly, we're kind of seeing the same thing as last game, if you really think about it that way.
It has been so far. Of course, Lunar Eclipse looked incredibly dominant earlier on that Splat Zones map. Now, though, Twumi able to pick up 2, looking for more, but is getting taken down. Ezio finds 1 as well, but 2 members of Lunar Eclipse are down. They don't have the manpower to keep pushing this Rainmaker forward, and they might have picked up just a couple extra points on the board to find a lead, but it's not much of one at all, and it's probably not one you want to play on the defensive side of the map here.
Yeah, it can be kind of rough on Museum in particular, because it's almost like the game is dealing you with a set of cards and what angles you can take at any given moment with that spinner there. So they do have to be rather mindful of the status of everything going on around them, and micromanage where that Rainmaker is, and watch all these angles and make sure that nobody's flanking and, you know, keeping the Wiper out of their base. And look, Fern is going to do a good job at just watching this Rainmaker from a bit of a distance here and making sure nobody from the side of Royalty is able to quite pick that up. But we're still sitting on that 53 lead, so we're going to have to get some more points on the board to sit on that reliably.
Fern starts to sneak forward, but again, one player makes a double play, another player on the opposite team makes another double splat. And it's 2 down on both sides. The Rainmaker goes nowhere. Ezio pops the Zuka, immediately gets taken down by David, who's got a Zuka of their own. Pops it, looking forward here again, just like trying to lob those shots in there, but without a specific target. We'll see how this goes. Here comes the Kraken. Thunder coming in from behind. It is going to be enough for Royalty to take the lead here. And now it's going to be Lunar Eclipse that has to respond in overtime on the opposite side of the map.
Yeah, and this is definitely a tricky situation here. You have these 12 seconds where you can maybe reliably go down and still be able to pop that Rainmaker and pick it up. But once you hit that overtime mark, it is the point of no return. You cannot afford to, you know, go down while holding that Rainmaker there. But Thunder getting the directs on a couple players, but that Rainmaker is escaping them!
I'm pretty sure they didn't get it.
I don't think they did, but it was close. Oh my gosh, that's 3 points away. That is like palms sweaty. Thank goodness the set is over, because I would not be able to hold my controller for another game type moment.
It all came together there at the very end, but it just wasn't enough for Lunar Eclipse, who, by the way, currently is sitting at 5th overall in the SAC leaderboard standings, and Royalty now has beaten them along with Petrichor, which is a roster of pretty highly rated players, at least expected coming in to the day today. So I'd look out for Royalty to keep tanking a couple of names moving forward on the course of the day today. They kept things even in the other modes that were not named Splat Zones versus Lunar Eclipse. I think Lunar Eclipse will continue to excel there, but have a little bit to figure out when it comes to how to coordinate in some of these other objective modes.
Yeah, honestly, I agree with you there. It was quite the watch. I mean, both of these teams felt like they were struggling to push up on like each other for both games. So it just came down to those little tiny margins where we let our guard down for 1 second and then something happens that we didn't quite expect. Yep. One power clam. Oops. We're holding, you know, the first checkpoint for 70% of that Rainmaker game. So that's one of those matchups where I think I would like to see zones a little bit more, but at the end of the day, you know what? My complaint with that one too was that every time they want to fight, they didn't move up far enough. So I think it's kind of the zone's equivalent. Well, yeah, I guess so. Well,
they couldn't move up because No, one got a double, and then another player on the opposite team got a double onto them, so it was actually 2 versus 2, and they're so spread out that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't know.
It was chaotic.
It definitely was, and maybe that was kind of what was getting emulated in the other games as well, which was kind of causing it. You did see a lot of like priorities spread out among players, where I think sometimes those priorities maybe could have shifted a bit to move things along faster for either side to kind of, all right, let's look at the objective this very moment and then move back in a moment to what we were doing before where we're watching specific angles. So just, I suppose looking at every opportunity and reassessing them a lot quicker would probably help both of these teams, I think.
I'm sure there's a little more to learn as they go back to the drawing board, but in a moment, they'll have another opportunity to prove themselves against more teams attempting to qualify for the season finale in this qualifier. The second half of the Swiss stage is on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with round 3.
Welcome back, everybody, to Splatoon Circuit. And this is... I've been around since it was like amateur, and then it was like advanced, and then I'm at a point where
It's still advanced, no?
it's still advanced, I think, but I don't know if I agree. There's like not, you know what? I'm just going it's still me, and still K-Bot.
Hi. That's
We're
us.
here for El Wiwi, which is a name that excites me because I know it's not a wee wee reference, but I love me some wee wees. And
Yeah.
big fat sea cows. Look, I'll grab a
Sure.
wee wee. It's not wrong. Like these guys.
Oh, those.
These are wee wees, but it's spelled different. So
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely
I'll pretend I
love
can't
those
read.
things.
all right. So we
You'll pretend
do.
you can't. Oh, because it's different. Okay, never mind.
Yeah. On the roster of Big Fat Sea Cows today, we have Minnie, Fairy Light Lux, Neptune, Toto Star, and Wyatt. I actually haven't seen Wyatt before, but honestly, if they're from Big Fat Sea Cows, what can go wrong? El Wiwi, we have Namika, Ellie, Eli, Splats, and Vinoct. Tell me what you know, K-Butt, because I think you said you didn't know anything about these teams, so I'd like to really put you on the spot.
Yeah, in general, I don't know anything about any SAC teams, but the people that do know things about SAC teams are informing us that El Wiwi is a pickup, which is this is their first time in SAC together at all. Eli played with Lurka and Lock In. Sorry, Lock In is their actual game name. Okay, sure. Played in Qualifier 1 and Qualifier 2. So these players sometimes have been around, but they've kind of been team hopping a little bit, less consistent roster, which obviously is not going to be the best thing when you're trying to earn points to qualify for the finale, but enjoying the tournaments just for the events regardless. Meanwhile, Big Fat Sea Cows is currently 18th on the overall leaderboard. They have 50 points in Qualifier 2 and 50 points in Qualifier 3. They will be hoping that they can get slightly more than that in this qualifier. If they earn a top 8 placement, they could earn 100 points, and I believe that would get them like surged up pretty high in the overall standings on the leaderboard. So I think they're looking for at least a minimum top 8 placement. If I was them, that's what I'd be looking for here today. So they'll be hopeful, of course, that they can try to pull that one off in order to qualify for top 12 in that finale.
Yeah, obviously with this being so late into the circuit, both of these teams have a lot on the line here. Definitely trying to see what they can make happen with this Swiss format. So we're already getting into it. All right. Heck yeah. Macomart. We're seeing that mini Splatling coming back in, something they had to kind of nerf a little bit recently because of its prevalence and strength, which was something that was surprising to me. I'm sure Hitzel had a really good dream about that if you're old. But here we go. Splat Zones onto Macomart. Truly the staple here. Looking at Big Fat Sea Cows here, Toto popping down that, well, not popping the cooler, but grabbing that cooler and is able to move up a little bit farther there. Is going to get picked off by the members of El Wiwi, who are maybe waiting just a little bit there to see if Big Fat Sea Cows would approach them first. But now with those picks on deck, they're able to move up a little bit further, getting the pick onto Sylph Lux as they move further into the zone here. And it's absolute chaos. Can't even really tell who has much control here, as it's just a lot of fights and not a lot of payoff.
Yeah, it looks like the cows are going to be able to hold things in for now, but not seeing a lot of forward momentum here for El Wiwi. The one thing I do want to comment on here, 3 bubblers in this match alone. Bubbler, not especially seen on the rise as of late, which certainly can be used situationally in pretty strong settings here. I imagine it'd be really good if you can control, especially the opponent's box right here where Namika is taking out one with bazooka, looking for even more. But if you're able to get a bubbler up in that position, be able to be a little more aggressive, that'll help enable the rest of your team to come through as well. And we're already starting to see wiwi take a bit more control as they get that 2-down situation and now are looking to get through their penalty.
Yeah, I like that you brought up the bubblers, because being a connoisseur myself, I can tell you it is a bit of a worrisome pick to have if you're at all concerned about your opponents having any sort of ink strike, which is also very popular right now, especially in modes like zones. But ultimately here, I don't believe we're actually seeing any ink strikes on either team. So those bubbles are going to come into a lot of play. Vinoct having to back up there a little bit there, but Mini able to pick them off before they're able to properly retreat, and that is going to be a zone cap back into the favor of the big fat sea cows, although 2 members going down here means that wiwi once again having that opportunity to move up a little bit further here. Namaka onto that right side flank is going to try and get a little bit further into their base there. Vinoct trying to get these picks as well, and honestly looking kind of rough for the big fat sea cows as we speak.
Yeah, Namaka was putting in quite a bit of work there on that right side. Got one with the main, then popped Bazooka to find a second. And that just significantly will slow down the cows. Will they be able to infiltrate here? Neptune coming up on the left side. It's a quick reaction, and it'll only be 1 trade. But even still, 2 down now for wiwi. The cows have got to focus their attention towards this zone. They still can't find the paint on top of it right now. Finally, the rest of their members are going to come in, but Asteroid is actually going to stick around. The Ultra Stamp comes through, and now we're going to see Trey's going back the other way. 2 of the cows go down, and still, the zone is largely maintained by wiwi, thanks to their positioning of their players.
Yeah, wiwi always having people in a great spot here. Namaka opting into just camping the right ledge for the big fat sea cows here, which is going to make it rather rough for them to get back in. It's kind of going to push them to funnel on one side unless they can clear that carbon roller, and looks like it took them quite some time to do so, just enough to punish them into allowing wiwi to get that knockout just right under their noses. I even barely noticed that timer happening. They had to really clear things out very quickly, and those decisions, they kind of have to happen before you can accurately assess the situation, which is hard. It's not easy. So by putting the big fat sea cows into that position, I think that's ultimately what got them the game there, is just saying, all right, you have to know exactly where we're sitting at this moment, take us out, but also cap the zone. Like, you can't afford to ignore the carbon, but you also can't really afford to take time picking them off. So sometimes those little nuisances can cost you the game.
And in a lot of cases, right, they were the team, I mean, obviously they were the team that had 2 bubblers. So often one of those bubblers would go down too. And now suddenly it's like, okay, you've got to paint the zone and you have to take me out if you want to try to paint the zone. But that's almost impossible to see what actually is going to come through there. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, obviously, Siren, you mentioned with bubblers, strikes, very high likelihood of getting counter, right?
Yes.
Coming in. I would love to see the junior players switch over to the Neo Splash, if that's an option for them. I think, like, fundamentally, those weapons are going to do a lot of the same thing, support style for the most part, and throw your occasional bomb. But now your special directly counters what the 2 of the specials on the opposing team, rather than anything else. Now, of course, that's going to depend on the map and mode and whether or not you actually think they're going to continue having 2 bubblers. But with us going over on the next one here to, I believe it will be Tower Control on Inkblock Art Academy. I believe the maps were incorrect on the screen, and I have it pulled up on Sendo, and Ellie, that's why Ellie changed away immediately. So... Well, but Tower Control Inkblood, I mean, high probability, right, of the bubbler coming out again.
What?
That's still not.
Look, you believe it's Tower.
Hey!
Oh, okay. I think Bubble and Strike have like some level of viability on this map in their own merit. if I, as a junior player, was queuing into this, I probably would still pick junior until I think that it's going to be a problem. And probably the shift that I would be making is having someone else on my team play something that deals with the bubbles on the opponent's side, because I just think that special is like, it's not, you don't really want to trade it away. But with that being said, I think we're looking at another CRB.
CRB comes out. Wait, is that? Yeah, okay, that is.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought it was just going to be Custom Blaster instead. But no, CRB is what it is. And Tanatech does come out for the cows instead. So they do opt into having those strikes. Although now there are no bubblers on El Wiwi, completely mixing up the whole thing altogether.
Yeah. Well, actually, no. Doesn't the decaf have one?
Wait, are they playing decaf? Oh, for some reason I thought it was a stamper. Yeah, you're right.
Yes, there's a stamper on Big Fat Sea Cows right now.
That's
so Big
why
Fat
the
sea
teams
cows,
keep switching back and forth.
Yeah, they're the team without the bubbler now. So I guess we'll see how that's going to play out, because obviously before this match started, I was saying I would probably want to keep the bubbler unless there was something very specific that could deal with it. And I suppose we're going to see if that Tanatech is going to be, you know, having the discipline to save those strikes to deal with that bubble if it becomes an issue in this game. Because obviously with decab, there's two ways you can go about this. You can use that bubble as a way of, oh no.
All good. All good.
All right, well, you know what? Look, not that much is happening. We didn't miss too much. It's a whole lot of let's sit around and wait for our opponents to talk to us, which felt. So, as I was saying before, with that decab, you could really go in two different directions with how you want to use those bubbles. You can play them extremely aggressively, get into your opponent's spawn and pop them, or you can kind of opt into that route of making sure your tower rider is always protected and always has a bit of a beacon spot to access at all times. So really, two things you can do with it. With it being a decab, though, I am more expecting the other route where they play up into their opponent's faces. But that's not going to be quite simple when your opponent is waiting for you to drop and has three people waiting for you. So Sylph Lux is going to be able to push up onto this left side here, only getting pushed back there by that pencil and that blaster onto the side of El Wiwi. But those two members putting in a whole lot of work and holding them back at the very minimum here.
And now, starting to see the cows come through. They've got themselves to the second checkpoint, and they're going to get past it here as well. No specials online for El Wiwi to fight back immediately. Just going to have to try to come away with some of these firefights. Namaka in position here, now coming around the backside with the carpet roller, able to find one, and El Wiwi is going to be able to clear out the cows from their own pasture. Now, looking back to the middle of the map, but even still, El Wiwi doesn't have a lot of peak control. Wyatt kind of waiting on this side, does have the strikes at the ready, but here comes the onslaught. Zuka comes out, Namaka finds two with it, and it's a 3-down situation now for the cows. El Wiwi has the opportunity to start making a push, but just how much will they establish themselves? Watch where this bubbler goes down. It could be key to how this plays out. It's going right down here on top of the bats. The strikes come out immediately to try to beat it. The damage was almost already done. They were working their way up the left side, but mostly neutral on that side. It's probably going to play to the favor of well, actually, I don't even know who that plays in the favor of. It just kind of stalls out the tower overall on this side. El Wiwi looks like they're taking back some control around the tower now, though, and they've got to regroup to further extent.
Yeah, you know what? I like that observation, because stalling tower is sometimes the better option. Sometimes it's better to wait for your opponent, your teammates to get in, build up some specials. As long as that tower is staying in your opponent's base, you're not losing a whole lot of progress. But speaking of losing progress here, we're starting to watch that tower move back into neutral with the big fat sea cow still holding onto that lead there. Specials are being built up there. Neptune going to be popping that zip cast into the bats of the members of El Wiwi there causing absolute chaos, but where's the destruction to go along with it? Asteroid going down as a result, and Neptune meeting Vinoct with an untimely demise there. Are they going to be able to extend their lead? Not looking like it at this point, because Vinoct has been finding everyone individually. That bubble is ready as well, is going to get popped for some longevity here, but that's not really what they need. They do need another like 30 points on the board for this game, and with 30 seconds left, they're going to have to start making some progress. Asteroid, I don't think you realized there was somebody jumping in behind you with the Kraken. That was a very free pick, if my eyes were not mistaking me. But looks like their teammates were able to take care of it.
And now just a couple seconds left. El Wiwi still looking forward on the tower. This tactical will protect for just a little while longer, but it's not going to be enough. The strikes are online. That'll counter the bubbler when it comes back up, or actually it'll just get used the second overtime spot to try to get everyone off the tower and force the cows on top of it. They will take it, and once again, Siren, another decisive game 3. That is 3 for 3 on stream so far today.
And yet it doesn't delay us whatsoever, because it's always play all 3. And it never is just like a team getting an extra win at the end, because it is play all 3. So technically some teams can win and then still lose that third game. But somehow it's always game 3 that's deciding it for us. So definitely keeps us on our toes a little bit here. But judging by these first 2 games, who do you think has this third one?
Gonna be hard to tell. Next up, we're going to Clam Blitz on Barnacle and Dime. So depending on how this shakes out with the Bobblers, you know, I could see obviously those having quite a large impact here. We'll see what Blaster ends up getting used. Again, could be the CRB. The Kraken can play a role, although less of a role in Clam Blitz now, thank goodness. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like this one could go either way. Again, it's going to be about which team can find the more coordinated pushes and get more claims in.
Usually the pattern that I find in matches like this is that teams that are good at zones are proven to be good at holding specific areas really well, and that's what we saw in that first game. But in game 2, you have to move along with the objective a lot more. You have to be a lot more mobile, which is what Big Fat Sea Cows showed in that game. So I think it's going to come down to ultimately who can get that good breakthrough push and then who can defend it better. Because I think while El Wiwi showed some very good defensive chops, they need to get the push first to do that, right? So honestly, it's probably going to come down to the wire, I'd like to say. And while I think Bubble is good on this map, while I think Kraken is okay, I think we're going to have to be looking at specials that maybe are a little bit cheesier. I know Bubble can be kind of cheesy, but you have to get into those positions first before they actually matter. So, and to be honest, that's not really the positions I saw Bubble in that first game from El Wiwi. They were, a lot of them were even sitting behind the zone. It was just like, let's put them in a place where I can plop one person down so they can stand in one spot and hold that zone, and that worked out for them there. But that doesn't quite work as the same strategy here. So I'd like to see, if that's the case, how they go about it.
We shall see, as we're soon to get into it now. We see a Wiper come out. You mentioned the cheesier specials as Ultra Stamp potentially coming through here, but it's a double Splatana composition is what that means. One Wiper and one Stamper. So interesting strategy here from the Cows. We'll see whether or not it pans out.
Yeah, I think that's going to definitely play into their strength, which I found to be mobility. But that means that they're probably going to have to rely on knocking out rather than sitting and defending their basket, because when they go down, it's going to punish them a lot harder than what would happen with El Wiwi.
We'll see now as they start charging forward. The Ultra Stamp comes out, but immediately gets taken down. The Cows can't find another avenue in. Neptune holding on to the zip cast, doesn't find an angle just yet, and Asteroid's got that Zuko on the back lines to hold it down for El Wiwi for the time being. Although the Cows haven't given up a lot of their room, and now Neptune's starting to infiltrate here on the back side. There is one player going down, and now will get sent back. There's a 2-down situation, but now immediately met with 2 as Nabaka comes up with another play, neutralizing things now and keeping us in this position.
Yeah, I do like the spots they've been taking so far. Mid has been all big fat sea cows this entire game so far. Sylphlux going to get that pick onto Vanoct with that hammer there. Is going to be going, well, 2 members of Big Fat Sea Cows going down there as a bit of a result. It's just going to be Big Toto left in spawn. So probably going to try and charge up a cooler as fast as they can. Unfortunately, is going to meet a demise there, running into, I believe that was Asteroid up on their stack on that right side. So this is an opportunity now for El Wiwi to move in a little bit further, but it is going to be a bit of a slower approach, I think, than what Big Fat Sea Cows was doing before. So it does give them an opportunity to recoup and kind of catch them as they fall into their base.
Now, what happens is El Wiwi has a power claim of their own. They've got mid control here as well, but how will they choose to move forward? You see this Zipcast coming out here. Not being able to find anything, but it does cause at least enough of a distraction for one power claim to go in. Asteroid starts to move forward, takes care of the Ultra Stamp, and now they've got control of this top left side here as well. And they'll be able to take care of everyone that is sitting down there on the bottom. No specials, though, didn't delay things. And while it might be a wipeout, they don't get any clams right away off of it. Someone needs to go back and pick up this pity clam just to have it at the ready for another re-engage.
Somebody help me budget. My family is starving. I have 4 picks onto the side of Big Fat Sea Cows. No money for clams. Help. So they have another push into the basket here, but just 1 clam shy of getting the lead. It's going to be 3 down with just the pencil remaining. So that is going to be a stop. And Big Fat Sea Cow is going to be able to move ahead a little bit here. That cooler's coming out at a perfect time. Big Toto holding on to 4. Nobody really having a power clam because everyone ran ahead. They didn't pick up that pity clam. They don't really need to. They can hold on to mid however they like here. Sylphlux going to be popping that hammer, getting up onto the side, but Vanoct getting behind them with that zip cast. That is going to be huge for them. It's just a 1-point margin with 1 minute and 33 left in the game. Neither of these teams are really safe with the lead that they have. So this is kind of the area in time where you're going to have to start deciding on whether you want to rely on the flimsy little tiny push that you have that can be cheesed easily, or if you need to start pushing in a lot further. And obviously, I think the decision should, be clear for both of these teams. However, how they decide to go about it is going to be what's crucial here.
Zuka's coming online here for El Wiwi. Asteroid looks to fire, can't find anything. Here comes the strikes as well. It escorts at least 1 player in for the Cows, and now that 1 member goes down on the front lines for El Wiwi. They don't have the opportunity to re-engage this time around, and now it's the Big Fat Sea Cows looking to storm forward. Toto able to find 1 onto Asteroid, who gets a little overzealous there on that drop, and everyone else is looking to pick up the slack there on the left side. Even still, Big Fat Sea Cows really content at the moment for holding them out of mid by and large, protecting their own turf. 20 seconds left to play here as they still have a power claim at the ready. Both teams actually have it, so overtime will come out unless they can get in to actually score a clam here. Neptune starts the Zipcast in position, tries to disrupt the defenses of El Wiwi, but all the meanwhile, there's been an onslaught. El Wiwi start to come through. They've pushed back the Cows a little further, and now we're in overtime. Zuka comes out. Still haven't found a lot of splats. Either team hasn't. El Wiwi keeps moving forward. Here comes another Zipcast. They start coming in. There's the power claim. It's going to get thrown in, and that is enough. They held on for so long, but not long enough, and the Cows get taken out. El Wiwi with their round 3 victory.
What a game that was. I thought we were done with that last set with these little tiny leads, but here we are. I mean, both teams kind of met each other in the middle quite a bit there instead of, let's sit in our spawn and wait. It was very much like, all right, we'll fight in the middle, and that ended up being their defense. Unfortunately, it faltering there a little bit, and you could see towards the end of that game just El Wiwi taking over aggressive power, and once it gets down to overtime, that's not the position you want to be in for big fat sea cows. You need to really hold on for quite some time. It's a very unforgiving timer for the defending team. You really have to keep your guard up, and you need to keep it up well. And that's just the hard part. One person sneaking through, that's the game.
Yeah, it's the good old, sometimes the best defense is still a really good offense, right? If you're able to hold very aggressive positions, well, you'll be able, even still, to hold off your opponents making a push or what have you is a bonus at that point for the big fat sea cows. But even still, wasn't able to do it there, and we start to take back a little bit more momentum. They start moving in, and they actually get the job done with the single power clam they needed in order to get it. You know, I will say it is unfortunate that the game had to go on for that long, because we kind of fumbled there in the middle, right? Remember that push where they got a wipeout, but they didn't stagger their clams or drag that push out for long enough so that they could go build up even more clams and get a more sizable lead there. That could have very drastically changed the course of the game, but they weren't able to do it there. Kind of had that fumble and eventually come away with the game victory, but there are still lessons to be learned in that game for our team.
Yeah, definitely. It's not an easy lesson to learn when it's a deciding game in a set of 3 in a tournament where who knows how the team you just lost to has been performing, because they can drag you down with them if that's the case, right? So obviously got to be very careful about it in any kind of Swiss tournament like that.
Well, we are just about done with round 3, but before we continue, well, actually, do we need to step away? Probably not, because every round 3 is done.
Yeah, I think we can pretty much sign off until we have our Fufu and Kion, I think.
No, we're still on for another round.
Oh, we're still on for another round?
Yeah, there's another round of groups.
What? Darn Swiss formats. Oh, it's till 4 o'clock. Well, actually. See, I was about to ask if I could plug something.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I guess I'm not the one, the ultimate decider here.
You don't work here.
No, I don't.
Yes,
I'm glad I don't.
Okay, awesome. I can yap about get on my level. I need to remind all you people that there's a LAN next summer. All right, July 4 to 6 in Toronto. Your money will go farther there, which is good. If you're an American, you're gonna have a good time. If you're Canadian, you're happy because you can stay in the country and not have to go to America. It's just plus for everybody, right? I don't know what else I can really say to get you guys to go. If you've never been to Toronto, I would strongly suggest coming. If you've never been to Canada, yeah, Toronto's great. Toronto's amazing. You were there. Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you.
I was there. Yeah.
Yeah, just cover up.
I just get covered. Perfect. Okay. Well, yeah.
Yes. It's gonna have, if you're interested in other games like Smash or Rivals, they will have that as well. My dogs are freaking out right now, so my apologies if you can hear them.
Your dogs are excited about Get On My Level.
Yes, they're excited for Get On My Level. I will bring my 2 weenie dogs with me. Not really, but...
What, now I'm...
whoa, it's like you're actually there.
Whoa. I'm actually like.
What if the Get On My Level was inside us this whole time?
Get On My Level.
I'll just yap about that for a bit. I've said this before, but I am so. First off, I'm kicking myself in the pants for doing this event because there were so many people who were going, Siren, when are you going to bring Get On My Level to, like, Splatoon to Get On My Level? When's it going to happen? And I was like, never going to happen. And now I am.
So you're kicking yourself for offering an event that you
said I wasn't going to do.
You're a liar now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a liar. Yeah.
Wow.
But decided to do it. So, you gotta prove that I was wrong even more and sign up for the event. So if you want me to eat my words even more, sign up for the event, because my concern was, well, I'm not sure if people will be interested. And it seems like people are interested.
I'm
But
sure
if you really
people
want
are
to make me look like a fool, it would be a good idea to go.
How many people do you get to the... Actually, I don't know if you know this. Are you in Toronto? No, you're not, right?
I am in Ottawa, which is the eastern side of Ontario, so I'm like 6-7 hours away from Toronto.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people they usually get from their local, but I can't imagine it's like that, right?
I did ask them what it was like normally. I believe it's about 20-30 people, but I think right after the pandemic they had 60. And I do know there's a lot more people within the Toronto community who maybe probably haven't just gone, like they probably don't go to every single local, and maybe are more interested in competitive events, which, hey, there you go. Here's the competitive, because they don't really run like they don't really run like a competitive format there most of the time, I believe. It's usually just for fun and hanging out with the other people from that area. But think about it this way. You'll get to hang out with all those people, and you'll also be supporting the Splatoon scene, and you'll also get to watch some really cool competitive games, because honestly, Ontario has a lot of Splatoon talent.
A lot of Splatoon talent?
Oh yeah, that's where Shaq is from. Bursty's from Ontario. Mecca's from Ontario. This could be the first Mecca event if he decides to come out.
First Mecca event.
Yeah.
Like
So
for how long, and hasn't been doing an event yet?
Yeah, it's been a while. Who else? Technically, Chara has roots in Canada, but maybe not Toronto. Yeah, he does. Like his extended family is Canadian. Fun facts for you.
Yeah, the more you know.
Yeah, the more you know. We have a collegiate team in Ottawa. I don't know if there's any collegiate teams in Toronto, but we did have a collegiate team here in Ottawa from Algonquin College. Let me think of what else we have from Ontario.
There's a decent amount.
There's me.
There's also just a decent amount.
Yeah.
There's a decent amount in Canada in general, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
folks that
Quebec.
don't often get down to the U.S. event.
Yeah. There's a few good players from the Montreal area. In fact, Montreal actually had a Splatoon event like way back in the day, like 2017 or 2016. There was a Splatoon LAN there, run by Spoon. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, Failbow is Canadian too, but that's not. I feel like he's not really competitive Splatoon adjacent anymore.
Yeah, he used to be.
Yeah.
He probably doesn't remember me, but I did commentate with him once. At SNS.
Oh yeah, those were the days.
Yeah.
I don't even remember. I was actually thinking about that picture of you in a suit today, the one with the sunglasses and the suit at SNS, where you're sitting at the table like.
Yeah.
And
why today?
But I don't remember who was I don't know why it came into my head, but I don't even remember who was sitting with you.
It's Black and Melissa.
Okay. Because I think the version that I've seen most recently is the one where it's flipped down the middle, so it's just you sitting there smiling at yourself.
Somebody made that?
I think so, unless my brain invented that.
I feel like your brain invented that, but I mean, I would not be surprised if there are memes of me circling around because... Also, by the way, that event was like, how long ago?
At least 5 years ago. 5 or 6, depending on which SNS. Wow.
Been doing this for too long.
So we do have FreeFlow versus DistInkt coming up next, which is pretty exciting. FreeFlow is a team I've seen for quite some time now. And DistInkt has someone named AfroKing, so that's pretty neat. So I'm gonna take a look at the form, our very handy dandy form here, and see who we have. Oh, I actually had DistInkt open for no reason. That's awesome. Okay.
DistInkt got second place in the silver bracket in the last qualifier.
Okay.
So they currently have 75 points. They also earned 5 points for their, for their match wins, I believe, in the first qualifier. So they are on the outside looking in on the leaderboard, certainly for this one. But with the number of people that aren't playing, or the number of rosters I haven't seen in the mix today, there is a chance if they go far that they could do pretty well here, especially with the rule where your top only your top 2 placements count full, and then your second 2 placements count for half one. So that's something else to consider in the calculations. So other groups might not get as big of a boost by performing about the same level, whereas even still for some of these later events, especially a team like DistInkt, who's set up here, could have quite a surge if they perform well, particularly, again, top 8, and then even win a top 8 match today. So they'll be looking to take this one. FreeFlow is currently the 12th team themselves after placing in top 8 of the first qualifier, and then getting in the 3rd bracket of the 2nd qualifier, and they did not play the 3rd qualifier. So they're looking to defend their spot versus someone who's willing to take it, as we head now onto Splat Zones on Mahi. But Siren, people like this map now. I can't wrap my head around that.
I think it's because they just like it after the water drops. I think it's not a real map until the water drops. So there's literally, like, sometimes if you just lose that first fight, you just kind of like build up your special and wait for the water to drop, because it's just not worth dropping into all this ink that your opponent has. It's just sometimes it's not worth it. Sometimes you just gotta wait for the what? All right, well, Rafa just dipped his pinky toe in the water, but moving on.
Well, that was surely that was a special super jump, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Boy, that's the what weapon is?
What?
No.
Wiper?
I just don't know this game anymore. No, that's the other decap.
Oh yes, that's the inkjet one.
Yeah. Okay, so that makes sense. Probably pop the inkjet immediately and just jumped out to get away, I suppose.
Okay.
But in any event, also a bow. And hang on, I'm just starting to.
There's a lot
get my
going on
bearings.
here.
There's a lot happening. Yeah.
This is like, wake up, Grandma. You've been in a coma for 10 years. Calm, yeah. All right, well, they do have super chumps. I suppose they could try to get back in with those if they so wish. But it looks like Rafa's going to be going down in that inkjet there. So a little bit of added difficulty to getting this cap back onto that zone. That bubble is going to get popped as well for them from the roller. Okay, a lot of non-uniform picks, I would say, on honestly both teams. I'm kind of shook, actually. Now, the longer I look at it, I'm like, wait, where are we?
What? The
Heavy
year is
deco?
2024. There is a heavy deco. There are dualies. There is a tri-stringer and a decap.
Yeah, the not popular decap. Yeah.
Yeah. All good.
Huh. All right.
We'll figure this one out. This is going to be a puzzle that's just going to take us a second to figure out.
Yeah, well, I mean, we don't have that much time left because it's 30 seconds left on the board, and DistInkt is absolutely dominating right now. Rafa gonna try one more time to somehow help the zone there with that inkjet, maybe get a pick onto it, but not gonna quite work out. Those chumps are gonna come out right now. Are they gonna pop in time? Not really. The Kraken is deterring anyone from getting close to that zone there, and yeah, that's pretty much gonna seal the deal there. I feel like both of these teams had no way to cap the zone with specials, so it was all manpower, but then neither teams were really getting picks, and then it was just, okay, what does this boil down to? Okay, the team that is just holding the most space in mid just wins the game.
It runs down to the team that is running forward the most and winning most of their
Why is this tournament? Ah! This is a map of all time. They added cars, so now we have cars.
Yay, cars.
Wait, do we even have cars? Oh, I don't think this one got cars.
Ooh.
I eat my words. There's no cars. Everything is ruined. We need some cars.
I want cars.
All right. Well, I guess here we are back again with these same interesting weapon picks. Do I think they necessarily apply better to A, Mincemeat, or B, Rainmaker? Not particularly, but ultimately one of these teams has to win the game. Like, that's how Splatoon works. So
that is.
I suppose one of them has to work better than the other, right?
Yeah. Already, FreeFlow starts to take the advantage. Will get picked off the second before getting on top of that pedestal. Now the Ultra Stand comes out looking to try to rush in. Cakes is going to pick up the Rainmaker and will get the dunk off in time, meaning that that checkpoint is now down, which is good news for FreeFlow to get it down already early. You can actually change very significantly how you play, and if you're playing more of this defensive game into these specials that don't have a lot of space-taking potential, there's maybe an avenue here to play more defensively, but no, instead, Jolly actually just picks up the Rainmaker, gets it down to 4.
That's JJ.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Stop
Whoa!
it. Stop it. Okay, we get it down to 3. Y'all, can we move the Rainmaker out of the spawn before we start taking care of mid? Because thank you. All right, Mooj picking up that Rainmaker, and now we're finally dropping it down here. But the damage has kind of been done here. They pushed it down to 3. They are more or less going to have to knock out in order to win this game, and that's not really an easy task now that we understand the positions that both teams are in, right? Okay, I know the enemy team has to knock out to win this game. Therefore, I can give up a lot of ground as long as it means that they don't get that knockout at the end of the day. Therefore, FreeFlow can play very forgivingly, I suppose, would be the right term, and probably still come out with the dub here.
Well, and at this level, recognizing that you can play more defensively is actually an incredibly strong ability to have, right? And being able to know what that means to adjust your gameplay style and figure out what kinds of things you're looking for instead can actually be incredibly beneficial. And you're seeing that now, by and large, where FreeFlow is just kind of keeping this Rainmaker in position. They're backed up into this corner where they're difficult to actually get down, and not many bombs can get thrown their way. You see that splash wall coming up quite a bit. So they're kind of just guarding this Rainmaker on this side of the map right now, which is what they want to do, right? They just don't want to let DistInkt have any opportunity to touch this thing. Now, of course, though, they are going to get pushed back, and now it's a down situation for them, though, but the wipeout goes back in the favor of DistInkt. This should be the first checkpoint here, and they will get the dunk off, but still a long way to go.
Yeah, a very long way to go there, and that's the forgiving aspect of the position that FreeFlow is in here. Obviously, they can get a full wipeout here, and all they're really losing is that first checkpoint. You know, in this situation, they don't want to get wiped again, but they can still get away with things like resetting this Rainmaker, kind of run at it a little bit. As long as they're burning time off this clock in the last minute and 20 seconds of this game here, they're still going to be in good standings. That bubble is going to be very good for them, though. Rafa is using that space to move up a little bit farther there, but now we do see JJ just sitting on top of that Rainmaker, has that Ultra Stamp at the ready, trying to maybe bait some of the members of DistInkt to try and get a bit cheeky with that Rainmaker, get close to it so that JJ can pop that hammer right on top of their heads. Though it looks like they're not quite taking the bait. Wait, hold on here. I hope nobody's stream peeking, because Rafa moving up behind them onto the left side here is going to get spot out before able to do any damage, though. And once again, we do see Mooj picking up that Rainmaker.
Caused enough of a distraction for two of the members of FreeFlow to go down, but JJ still sitting here. There's the Ultra Stamp pop, but the Rainmaker gets away. Didn't pick it up right there on that one, but now it does get taken out by a teammate. 3-down situation for DistInkt. 20 seconds here left to play. And FreeFlow, again, despite the amount of ground that they've been forced to give, despite the amount of times that maybe something hasn't quite gone exactly their way, they gave themselves the very large margin for error to come away victorious in the second half of this game. And I believe, yeah, overtime will not go off. That'll be that. FreeFlow will take this. Obviously, we'll see a third game, but it looks like FreeFlow pretty well poised to defend their spot in the finale.
Yeah, that's just how it is sometimes with Rainmaker. You let a couple people in, you let your guard down on that Rainmaker thinking it's going to be a bit safer than it is, and you're going to get severely punished for the remainder of the game, and it's not really easy to recover from because now every Rainmaker push you try to make has to matter a lot more than it would have if you had that wiggle room to work with. Now you're competing with a 3 push instead of, all right, maybe I can pick up the Rainmaker and move it down to 40, maybe I can move it down to 30. No, we have to stay alive every single time, otherwise that Rainmaker is going to get pulled back, reset, and then we have to try again from scratch. It's just so much more difficult, and I can't really blame DistInkt for having to play the game the way they did there.
It's certainly challenging, you know, and that's the sort of thing where, like, in a VOD review, right, when you're going back to look at that game, you're thinking through it and you're like, you're probably trying to give your best effort to think about how the second half of the game went, how you could have improved certain plays there. But in reality, the largest misplay was letting them take the Rainmaker down to the 4-point mark, right? If you're able to stop it at the checkpoint, have that control around the Rainmaker, suddenly some of those, the rest of that wouldn't have happened and you would have been in a better position. Instead, you really had to go for broke, and the enemy team can just play so much more defensively, so much more passively, and oftentimes that can be even more annoying and can snowball for the remainder of the game. So we will be seeing one more. To the best of my knowledge, my screen says this is Clam Blitz on Museum again, rather than Crab Leg. I don't know what Ellie thinks about that. It sounds like Ellie believes that it should also be Museum and not Crab Leg. There we go. Yeah, okay. So again, should be interesting. We'll see whether or not we'll get a significant push going here, whether it's going to be like another one of the games we saw on Clams where there was one power clam scored the entire game. 5 minutes.
Oh, yay, we're back here. Ooh. All right, well, even then, we're on Clam Blitz on a map with a lot of height, and we're dealing with the charger, and we're still going into Inkjet. I have some qualms with this, but I must understand at this point that Rafa just likes this one better. So that's just how it's gonna be. Yeah, okay, wait. No, you have a good point there. Sorella?
Sorella, yeah. Also has the Inkjet. So...
Me.
Yeah. Also has Autobomb, which could be cheeky sometimes, maybe.
I would say yeah, if they were dealing with anyone particularly sharky, maybe they were having an issue with their last game. Maybe they were like, well, we let 2 people sneak in and push that Rainmaker. Maybe that's going to be a problem. I don't know if that's quite what I would pull out to deal with that problem, but you know what? A for effort there. Rafa getting in a good position to actually use that Inkjet. It requires a lot of aggression, but nearly getting 3 picks off of that Inkjet is going to be huge here. Mooj has a power clam at the ready, but is now, I suppose, trying to figure out how they're going to get up onto that higher part of the ledge to actually dunk it. Thankfully, though, we do have Afro here, able to get under that basket there and score some clams of their own, bringing it all the way down to 39 in one push in just under a minute and a half.
I thought that DistInkt gave up just a little bit too much room, but in fact, they were able to find the one player slipping through the cracks, enables the rest of the jumps to come through, and now they're sitting at a really good position early in this game. We'll see, of course, whether or not they'll be able to hold on to this lead. This can be something that they start playing a little more defensively or a little more passively. They might look for an opportunity to do another push, but they can hold on to this game and actually come away with a slightly better standing, you do earn a number of points for winning a game, I believe, on the leaderboard. So potentially by coming away here, you can improve your standing. So they'll be looking to do that, holding on for the next half of the game.
Yeah, definitely going to want to try and do anything you can to improve your standings, given that it is Swiss, so the games like this do matter, even though they've already lost that set. Both of these teams have something to gain here. Tiger going to be popping that great bubble under the basket there, is able to pick up JJ off of that as well, and the basket on the other side of the map is like, what? Did it, like, am I tripping? We're like defending at the same time as pushing. It's kind of insane. No? I think I'm right. Yeah.
I don't know.
That they got the basket open again. And so and yet they were still under their own defending.
Yeah.
That's so funny actually. I like it.
Yeah, it happens. You know, once again, player just slips through the cracks, and next thing you know, there's a power claim there. In any event, coming back through in this one, DistInkt looking to hold down their ground here and actually do quite a good job of that. JJ has 2 with the inkjet, taking care of business there, but now it's going to be the target of a lot of fire from DistInkt, who still, by and large, holding on to their side of the map rather defensively, and FreeFlow doesn't have an avenue to get in, and again, it's difficult with their current composition, given by the fact they don't have a lot of heavy engage pool to try to come through. Of course, Zuka, Inkjet, sure, maybe there's a crab tank that can do a little bit of work, but you don't have a lot else that can play off of those things once you pop one of them. We'll see now the Inkjet come out. Here's Cakes there with that cooler coming down as well. But a minute left to go here, and we still only have 1 power claim. FreeFlow has been threatening a push for some time, but doesn't seem like they have the resources to be able to do just that.
Yeah, FreeFlow kind of getting locked out just a little bit here by the members of DistInkt. It feels like every angle that they've been trying to come through at has some sort of like counter sitting, just waiting for it. And now we're finally getting some points onto the board here, but we're basically going to have to pull nearly a miracle to get this lead. Getting it down to 60 here is huge. Shin still under the basket is going to finally go down to the roller there. 57 points onto the board for them. They do have a little bit more to go, and 1 power clam would have been able to get them the lead, but now they're dealing with that penalty and 12 seconds left to go. They do at least have the opportunity to start overtime here, but can't quite be making these mistakes like going down 4 seconds before the game ends. So JJ now going to have to compensate just a little bit here, trying to get these picks, is able to take out Afro, but looks like somebody was able to sneak in on the other side of the map and take the game from them.
Again.
Yeah,
both activity under both baskets. DistInkt will hold on for that one with that final push, and they'll take 1 game in the play all 3 series, is perhaps a little bit of the silver lining there. But for those first 2 games, FreeFlow looked like they actually were quite commanding in their presence, and if they can find something similar, maybe they'll be able to come away with a even better placement and potentially better seed in the finale, hoping to actually guarantee themselves that spot, given by the fact that they are they are the line, actually, of qualifying for that finale. So should be fun to see what comes of them and whether or not they can figure things out. It'd be interesting to see whether or not that Sorella comes out again. I kind of doubt it, because what was going for them earlier seemed to be working just fine. But, of course, everyone has their preferences, so we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, I suppose so. Both of these teams having very non-uniform comps. It's something that I like. I almost want to watch these people more, just so I can like see how that works normally against other comps that run meta, because both of these teams had like, what's the appropriate word? Obscure, unorthodox. There we go. Yeah, unorthodox structures to them, and I just kind of want to see how that fares against, like, all right, I'm gonna have a pencil and I'm gonna pop the cooler and I'm gonna have a decab or a sword and a, you know, something. Just the most meta. Yeah.
So we'll see. Of course, a lot more SAC action happening for the remainder of the day. The group stage is nearly completed, but soon we'll be heading into the bracket stage. 4 teams from each group will make it. At the moment, it is looking like Retro Records, Myopsidus, wiwi, and it just updated, Astral Aces will likely make it. Rewind and the Big Fat Sea Cows likely will be playing in the silver bracket. Of course, this is still subject to change. In Group A, it'll be FreeFlow and DistInkt, likely both making it all the way into the gold bracket. This is the Monado's Power, and Royalty will be the teams likely rounding out that gold bracket. Of course, still subject to change with the final couple of matches.
Yeah, it's still updating as we're speaking. Wow.
Yep. Yeah, so still another match or two, but of course, they'll be able to walk you through all of that on the other side of our short break. Siren, any last words for the broadcast other than go to Gommel?
Go to MomoCon. Wait, that's not
That
announced.
too.
Just go for the convention. Nothing else is happening.
No.
Nothing else. Don't worry about it.
Folks, thanks so much for joining us. It will be Fufu and Kyon on the mic for the bracket stage today. So don't go anywhere. Qualifier 4 will enter the bracket stage on the other side of this break.
See you there.
Something to believe in. The love that everybody knew. We're on a narrow street. I'm not leaving until I leave with you. So don't go walk in the water. Hold out your hand. Walk to the altar. So don't you. 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 So don't you.
Hello, hello! We are live! We are here with your second block of SAC Qualifier 4. I am joined here on the mic with Kyon. Do say hello.
Hi, I'm here. Hello. All right, we'll get right into it. This is not the accurate matchup here because we are now in gold brackets here today. This is Retro Records versus Seapunks coming into this one. And just get you guys teed up here with what this looked like here. Retro Records actually participated in previous qualifiers. In fact, I believe they have participated in all 3 qualifiers leading up to this point. Varying placements there. And they're locked in, I believe, at the not locked in per se, but they are at the 3rd place position in terms of points, so that's a team for everybody else to look out for. Seapunks, I believe this is their first time as a team participating in SAC. Gonna be excited to see how this team plays. But Fufu, this should be a fun gold brackets coming up ahead of us.
Oh no, absolutely here. Because one, these teams also still have to fight their way up here each qualifier. And, you know, it's just, the further you get into a bracket, the more exciting things get. Because the stakes get a lot more higher. These teams are going to want to stack up as many points as they can here as finals is approaching. If I'm not mistaken, this is the last qualifier we have here for SAC.
Yeah, the last qualifier is here for SAC or SAC, wherever you want to pronounce it for. I'm sure some people will pronounce it whichever way. We do have our map pulls kicking things off with Barnacle and Dime zones, and then, of course, running through the rotation with Hagglefish, Tower Control, Museum, Dale, Fontino, Clamblitz, and, of course, because we're in the best of 5, Undertow, Rainmaker, and Crab Lake zones if we need to get to that point. Of course, so just a quick look here for Retro Records with what we know so far. A handful of one tricks, by the way, in this roster, so expect to see some of the same weapons, I'd imagine, with Retro Records. With Seapunks, it's almost a wild card that we feel like we could expect a lot of things out of this group. But Fufu with Barnacle and Dime zones, this is going to be a great opener and kind of gives you a taste of what both teams could be dishing out here in round 1.
Absolutely here, but as I see Splatoon is a very blank slate of the way these teams are going to play. It's just like, okay, you don't have to focus too hard on the objective, and you can focus on, you know, either mechanic or just, you know, keeping that team out here compared to some of the more team-oriented. I am not surprised about that pencil, by the way. I am not surprised one bit by that pencil, but I am surprised about that dynamo. I'm not surprised by that splash, but I love that dynamo and brush pick. That was not a pick that I was expecting, and I'm excited to see how Retro Record is going to be putting that comp to use.
I know you're super excited about the Dreadringer Dynamo and the brush coming out of Retro Records. Seapunks, by the way, a collection of different members that participate in SAC, but more on that in just a bit. But for Retro Records, so three of these players on this group are a bunch of one tricks, and they are having to be your Dreadringers, your Dynamos, and your Ink Brush. Expect this to be the standard. Little excited to see that Neo Splash, a weapon that dishes out a lot of paint, also aided with the trip strikes there. So Retro Records has something at least going for them. I'm curious to see how these players are able to work together with this comp. Seapunks, by the way, Fufu off to a great start, already taking down 23 points on the board, and the zones are back to neutral.
Yeah, but it looks like these ties are going to turn here in just a second with Retro Records taking the zone back from the hands of Seapunks, quickly making waves. I think what happened there was like they were able to take a really quick pick on that pencil, and I think from there it just snowballed right in their favor. They did go one down right there, the Dreadringer, so they lose a bit of, no, not really lose less control with that Dynamo, but Seapunks is getting ready to retaliate as that lead swaps, but it's not going to be enough as the paint continues to turn purple. Retro Records still holding on to the zone strong with the 3 down on Seapunks.
Yeah, 3 down on Seapunks, and Seapunks will have to spawn in, but the pencil is shut down, and that is a cool option. A lot of painting out of that picture there. They only have just the bubble that's available from the junior, and there is so much pain from Retro Records right out of the gate here. They also have the Reef Slider they want to take advantage. Never mind, we will take the Reef Slider out of the equation there, and so does the brush going down. This is going to be the quick opening that they're going to need. The bubbles all the way, by the way, already popped. Retro Records, they go 2 down. This zone is going to flip, but Fufu, Retro Records, they respond very well, and they take it down to 14 points remaining for this push.
Absolutely. The splash we found in the second, we're like, okay, we gotta get out of here and retreat it. But Seapunks, this is their time to turn the tables right here with no penalty points in the way. And Retro Records now on the back foot. They have a lot of things they can do. You have a lot of space to work with here on this lockout. But Retro Records is not ready to give up just yet. Quickly moving in with 2 sets of specials. Getting them to take a make that 2 with the brush, getting 2. And that is the flip of the zones. Already trying to make it 3, unfortunately. But that pencil getting out just in time. Again, Retro Records has been doing a really good job of taking care of Seapunks' anchor over here. They're minimizing the pain. They see the opportunity, like, yoink, you're out of here. And I noticed that a bit.
We gotta pull them out of there real quick. Make sure that they don't provide an impact. And by the way, Slime just doing a great job right away with that ink brush there. Of course, I have to call out their name, and they just go down just like that. There are 3 members already going down. They only take down some of those penalty points, but not enough to get out of it. And Seapunks, great response so far. More members going down, left 1 by 1 so far. It's gonna give Seapunks a chance to get everything set up for their chance to push further in Barnacle and Dime zones, for that matter. As you can see everybody move up just a bit here. Quick is just throwing more suction balls, just trying to see if they can deter Retro Records, but they're still able to crash that one through. Scrubbies is there, able to get 1, and that's 3 members going down. Expect the wipeout in here shortly. Nice response from Retro Records, but Seapunks at least lowers the gap.
Yeah, Retro Records is not afraid to play it slow if they have to sometimes here, unfortunately, with their Dreadrigger going down there, but they still have that control of the zone. Again, I like how they move to retake right here. You know, they're willing to let Seapunks get a couple more points if it means they can to ultimately take that zone back right here. And honestly, this is kind of where you want to put all your resources together and just try to take it to the home stretch with basically 30 ticks left on that counter. You got to do everything you can, but if you're Seapunks, you're going to be wanting to run for that zone very soon here. But, oh, wait. Oh, they're behind.
Yeah, they're behind there, and there's still a lot of pain around the zone. They're keeping it neutral for just a few more seconds. They lose their junior, but that may have bought themselves just enough time. 2 members have gone down. This could be a quick zone split. Maybe not. Maybe not. It's just a blaster that can only paint so much, but only so far. There, Fufu and Retro Records hold on to the zone quite well. They take game 1 here in the best of 5.
What an insane ending there. We saw 3 members of Seapunks basically jump their way into the zone. Right there, it almost just by a smidge did not work out there for Seapunks. Retro Records being able to pick that up just as fast and get that zone back in their favor, taking home the first game. What an incredible first game right here. It definitely shows off the strength of each of these teams right here, Kyun.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm more intrigued by how Retro Records with basically 3 weapons you don't normally see every day. Oh, okay, correction. Make that 2, depending on any Ink Brush players, you know. 2 weapons you just don't normally see every day. Dreadringer and Dynamo, they're able to dish out so much value. Again, just the value of these players that know their weapons so well. On that side, which was, I believe, yeah, it was Scribbies and Metcog, excuse me, that was able to make that one happen for Retro Records. That's a great start for them. So Retro Records off 1-0. They're gonna move on to the tower control map that's coming up. But before I even go to that one, just real quickly on Retro Records, they had their best finish so far has been their second qualifier with 120 points cashed in. So that was a 3rd place finish. Then they finished 3rd place silver. They're able to get some good results in. So they're looking to see if they can build a little bit more on their standing so far. Hopefully, and with this being the goal brackets, it is gonna help. And Seapunks, their first try as a team, gonna see if they make waves. Hagglefish Market Tower Control is gonna be the one coming up here, Fufu. And what you saw from both teams, anything that you'd be intrigued to see from both?
Honestly, I don't think we're going to see too many comp changes from Retro Records, excuse me. Especially considering you said that we have a set of 1-tricks on their team. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some changes from the other side of Seapunks, there we go.
Yep.
Of Seapunks right there, especially because we don't know too much about the history of their weapons and comps. I'm gonna guarantee that pencil's still coming out because it's very much Hagglefish and you very much want that paint. I think I do need to find the answer of the trickiness of the brush. I like that decap, by the way.
Hello.
I love that decap. It's gonna be a lot of forward pressure on that, but they're gonna need to find answers to the range of the dynamo and the cheekiness of that brush. So I want to see how they're gonna respond here as we change modes.
Yep, change modes here. They're going to keep the Neo Splash, by the way, from Retro Records. Seapunks, I know you're ready for that mint decap. I do as well. It's a fantastic choice there. You have the bubble that's still very strong. Of course, the bubble had I think there was a slight nerf from the mint decap in terms of the special bubble, but it should be enough to deter them. So I want to see if they can get so much value. They're going to, of course, bring out a crab weapon there in the vanilla splash. So lots of range to cover for. Mint decap is there to provide a lot of pressure. These should, in theory, be good adjustments so far, and Seapunks are able to respond in kind. Taking out 3 members down, they're going to start with the first push of the tower here, Fufu.
Indeed. It's going to be really nice. But if they're able to get this, yup, there we go. With the Dread jumping out, they lose a lot of pressure on the side of Retro Records for this. I think they're going to have to probably give up this checkpoint unless they can quickly find an answer. Oh, the race slider getting canceled in the middle of that. Crap from Quick is going to be making a lot of waves here for Seapunks. They're going to make a lot of space here, and it's just going to let them clear that checkpoint, ideally right here. The problem is this window. We're going to need someone here on this window to take that space. The strike's coming out from Retro Records, who's trying to stop the momentum of Seapunks, and doing so successfully, taking 2, but that splash out coming down, it's not going to be enough right there. But they're not done. Seapunks still ain't done. They still have members in center. That's going to keep their momentum going, keep that pressure up still without fully stepping down.
The first thing I quickly noticed there, the trip strike's pretty much thrown out, kind of a little past the tower there, so it didn't really exactly do what you would normally think it would, but Slime was able to help cover as much as they can, kind of spreading Seapunks around there just a little bit with the way this map is laid out. So Retro Records with a nice little rebound there, they're able to stop the tower for just a bit, but you know there too, Seapunks able to get back to close to that tower. They're moving up just as a unit so far. They got the cooler dished out. They're right around mid, and now they're approaching, as you know, the fabled second checkpoint, always a tricky checkpoint to clear out, and it kind of shows in spades as Mechog is like, nah, No, I saw you there. We're not letting that push happen. They do lose one singular point there, but this tower will reset back to mid, and 2 members going down. Retro Records should be in for the setup. Maybe indeed right here. We are seeing a lot of Retro Records Ink start to cover the floors here, so I believe we're going to start trying to make some waves, but with that crab king out to make extra waves themselves here. Dynamo going down as well, so they lose a lot of that overhead, long-range pressure right there, but we're back in this neutral state, so it's really going to see which team breaks through this first. It looks like Retro Records is going to be trying to make those steps, seeing that flank from not the decaf, from the Dread. I see decaf and my brain goes, wee, decaf. I feel like anytime you see the decaf, I think everyone's kicking into overdrive. And we're like, all right, I see that decaf. We just got to get going. We got to start moving here. But the decaf and the rest of the group. Yeah, but Seapunks is going to be the one retreating back to base. In fact, they're losing a lot of ground really quickly here, Fufu. 2 members already going down, and Mechog and the rest, and Slime, are the ones deep into their base. This is going to be a quick lead change here with about 2 minutes left to go on the clock. And now here's the fabled second checkpoint. This is almost all control from Retro Records. The response ain't there, and the trip strike gets the pencil user, and that's very unfortunate. It breaks through to the 3rd checkpoint at hand. They lose their anchor on top of it. This is a nice little response. They could lose the 3rd checkpoint and so much more, and Rice breaks through. This is everybody going down from Seapunks. Retro Records takes game 2 there, Fufu.
What an insane turnaround there from Retro Records. Just when you think Seapunks is at a really good stage, Retro Records just needed to find that opening, that small crevice that they can stick their way through, and we saw that through with a snowball to a knockout. I want to mention this for a second because I think once they were able to place themselves under those ledges, they have 2 weapons that are perfect for ledge camping, and that is their Dynamo and that is their Dread. Once they were able to get to that window, get to those ledges right there on the snipe, and anywhere, just really that whole area itself, that is almost perfect for a lockout right here. And they utilize that perfectly all the way to a knockout. I love that approach.
It's almost chef's kiss, almost great Splatoon overall when you're able to get those weapons in the places they need to be and just get that lockdown, not even lockdown, just lockout position that you need in order to take that one all the way home. And the thing I was curious about was that second checkpoint. Also, a little unfortunate that the pencil went down just from that one trip strike alone there too, which I think may have only changed, which definitely made it a huge impact that we saw there in that final push. But nevertheless, that's a great rebound from Retro Records with 2 minutes left to go. And now we go to the 3rd map here in Museum de Alfonsino Clan Blitz. Sweep territory coming up here for Retro Records. And I mean, from what we saw, Seapunks, they had a great start. They just have to find a way to stop Retro Records there, especially with the weapons that they're dishing out.
Indeed. I think it's just like taking a second to be like, okay, where can we force a Retro Records out? They do have the pencil, they do have everything. I think the trickiest part is just getting them out from under the ledges once they set themselves there. That's when you really got to take a second, reset yourself, and be like, okay, they could take a couple points, but we have to get them out. And, Museum is still another map of ledges, especially it's going to be very difficult for that anchor, especially to try to position themselves if you have pressure from both a Dread and a Dynamo. But I think bombs wouldn't be a bad idea. I still think they could still run the same pencil, that a lot of space, but they're gonna, it's really weird pacing of Retro Records is forcing the pace of the game, if that makes sense.
I definitely understand that because does it feel like you see Seapunks kind of playing to Retro Records pace and Retro Records getting the best of them? Is that kind of the idea we're seeing here, Fufu?
More or less, yes. Seapunks is trying to, it's like Retro Records is setting that pace, and Seapunks is trying to adapt to a pace that isn't their own. I think what they could possibly try to do is make the game their own right here. Say, you know what, screw you guys, we're not playing your game, we're gonna play our game now. So it's just, well, Zimmy coming out, I think they heard that statement and said, all right, let's do it.
So, hello, Zimmy. I didn't expect to see you out here in the open there. So they also move over to the range, but this is almost a very fundamental comp change, excuse me. But they do keep the pencil, if that was what you're expecting. More importantly, by the way, on the other side for Retro Records, so they keep the 3 one tricks there, but they just flex out the Neo Splash and go with the regular V shot there. So you got Zuka usage is there, and I don't necessarily blame him. I think Zuka's ultimately a great special here on this map with the way this map is laid out. So you do get to see a little bit of a brawl here from both teams. The stagger 3 down, excuse me, happening there. And Mechog, as you know there too, they're playing, Retro Records is playing very fast. and this could be an imminent push happening here, but they may have to take this a few steps backwards with just so they can get their members back here.
Yeah, once they recollect themselves right there, it's going to be a lot easier for them to move in, but Seapunks also getting that cooler out, getting ready for that defense themselves. The thing of like, what they don't want to lose is that ramp. But with one of their members going down, it's going to get really tricky. That range of the Dread is going to be almost lethal to the Carbon if they got caught in the middle of that. Oh, they got out from there. I don't know how bro did it, but they are doesn't matter because Rice is a menace, and that's going to be a wipeout on the side for in the favor of Retro Records right here. Again, putting 2 balls right into the basket. They are not wasting any time to get these points as far down as they can right here. This is not the active position you want to be in if you are Seapunks, especially considering the Dynamo and the Dread in play for Retro Records. Once again, those beasts that we've been talking about here.
You know, I wasn't expecting the Reef Slider to be used in that specific location. That's what threw me off there for a hot second. And then minutes later, the Zuka and Slime on that Ink Brush was almost in the perfect position for Seapunks to just get doomed out of that area. And that's basically what we saw, which led to that strong push. They actually may be able to continue this one even further here. It feels like, as you know, Retro Records is playing on a very fast-paced game with the way this comp is kind of laid out. And it's almost, and Seapunks is playing like 2 steps behind, and that's kind of making things a lot more difficult right now. They finally are able to catch up there. I think a few Zuka shots has been changing the tides of this one, and that's going to be the wipeout. All power clams for Retro Records will be off the table, and Seapunks at least clean up the messes there.
Indeed, they have that power climb ready in their favor, already not wasting any time, turning Retro Records plat into teal. All right, that ball is in, and they are getting those points down just as quick as Retro Records wanted to earlier here, but oh, with that Dynamo coming in, taking 2, not wasting any time themselves, and that is going to be a counter wipeout in the favor of Retro Records. Again, they're going to turn the tide, give them a little taste of their own medicine, back to their own medicine, back to their medicine, and they're going to be moving to the base of Seapunks just as fast. Look at how quick these teams move here, Kyun.
Hey, that defensive play was really nice there from Retro Records. Seapunks pretty much ultimately closing the gap was the biggest thing they needed to do, just so they can make things a little bit more manageable with about, let's say, 30 seconds left to go on the clock. But the big thing we need to keep an eye on is not just the specials, just how these weapons can play out. The Zuka's been spectacular. I saw that, Mechog. You're using that Reef Slider from mid and then just sliding in and getting the second pick there too. That was beautiful usage of the Reef Slider and getting the third. That was a triple from Mechog. Okay, we see you now. Forget that idea. I don't know if there's gonna be the quad. It looks like if there's a quad, it will be delayed. They do push up there with the barrier being broken, but this is gonna be a nice little hold there. This could be a free clan that Seapunks need if they're able to close the gap just a little bit more. Yes, they shut down the brush. They do stop this push. There is a free power clam on the board there, but we gotta say that was pretty nice from Mechog there on the Dreadringer.
Oh no, absolutely. That was some insane splats we were able to pull out on the field. Honestly, I was just like, what? Oh! I was losing my head over here, John. I didn't think I did. I'm like, whoa, cool play, and I'm on it. But no, yeah, that was almost a deadly push there from Retro Records as well right there. So Seapunks did an excellent job of holding their own right there and just defending against that attack. But it looks like they're not done yet here. There's just a scrap right there. And Rice is able to come out victorious there with the shot in the hand. But each team is just, I think they're waiting for that major opportunity again. And Seapunks might be finding it here.
Yeah, Seapunks is going to need to look for a bigger push. If we quickly do the math here, they get the power climb and it should be around 58, so they're going to need basically 2 power climbs is enough to get lead. I think I would imagine that's the play. They've already lost 2, and they're actually trying to push this one up, but this is not going to even break through the penalty points here, so they're going to have to spawn another power climb there at that stage. But while all that was happening, Slime already punishes a lot of members there, and they bring out 2. That's going to be the 3rd one going down for sure here. The Blaster's left with nowhere to go. I take that back. The Blaster with a nice little counter pick, but here's the problem though, Fufu. They've lost the main power clam they needed to build, so they're going to have to go clam searching here at this stage of the game with about 17 seconds left to go on the clock, and 2 power clams are available. But Retro Records, at this stage, all they need to do is hold on defense for just 8 more seconds left to go. There is at least going to be overtime because power clam is going to be available, but the question is, can they break through this defensive hole? They're going to try to use that bubble right there on that left-hand side here in flat just to see if they can break through that opening, but they recognize it, and this is allowing Scroobies to jump right in. They get 1. But themselves, they ran out of ink at a very inopportune time, but this may install just enough time as there's 3, but the barrier was broken on a backdoor push from Retro Records. Retro Records bought enough time. They're like, nah, we're gonna use one of those power clamps and get the sneaky push in, and it shuts the door on Seapunks. 3-0 is the sweep for Retro Records there, Fufu.
What an insane game we saw right there. Just when we thought Retro Records was going to be in the back end right there. Nope. They turn around, get that clam right into the basket, and say, game, this is our sweep. Retro Records, what an insane set there, Kyon, if you do ask me. I love the way they set their pace, if that makes sense. They are very in control of the pace they want to play. If they want to play fast, they're all playing fast. If they want to sit back for a second, they're all sitting back. And I think that takes a lot to, like, master, and I think they did an incredible job there. Those Seapunks also, oh my god, these guys are crazy. For the comp that they had, for a comp that we don't see, they did an amazing job at just... Wait, no, that's Retro Records. That's Retro Records. I mixed them up. Wrong. Retro Records, you guys are crazy.
Retro Records will have a word with you at the end of the day. I think that's what we're gonna end up seeing.
No,
No,
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
No.
See, I don't think so. No, maybe they might. They're gonna catch me, dog.
They're gonna catch you.
I'm good.
If you don't see Fufu at the end of the day, Retro Records has got them on that side. I'm gonna go back quickly. I'm gonna go back real quickly here, Fufu, because that game 3 almost happened really quickly there. I was trying to figure out, so I had to go back and replay. I had to figure out who was the one that actually went and got the backdoor push. And it actually was the shot, believe it or not. I thought it was the brush because I thought the brush was in a great position to do so, but the shot Rice bought themselves enough time to get the sneaky push in. So that was awesome. I'm glad that somebody was able to get the backdoor push to end that one, but I don't think I've ever seen that in quite a while. So that was awesome with them. But Fufu, I think Retro Records will try to hunt you down if you get those teams mixed up again.
Oh my goodness, please. It is early in the morning for me. My brain is so cooked. Don't ask. Don't question what I consider morning and what I consider afternoon. I don't know. Time is a figment of your imagination, if I think, Kyon. I don't know. I don't know about you.
Okay, I woke up early in the morning and I'm in the central time zone. Morning is meant to be a thing for me, especially with how the weekdays generally go for me.
No.
So you kind of know how that know how that goes if you're a morning person. For some, maybe 1 p.m. is considered the morning for you.
Indeed.
Maybe.
Oh, wait! I know this. I know one person on each side. I just saw the team swap up here for his Kyon. I think we have our next set up and ready.
Yes, we do.
Here. Oh my goodness! I know one player on the side of El Wiwi.
I'm kind of laughing as to how you pronounce it. Well, I need to buy myself some time. Pronounce it for me a couple times, and I'll be excited to hear it again. Yes.
Sean, here.
Yes.
Repeat after me. El Wiwi.
Wiwi.
I'm gonna tell you what that means.
I got you now.
But I am aware, I'm pretty sure El Wiwi is going to have a carbon on their side. I have a word with one of those players. And they're awesome. And then Myopsidus, which, ooh, Kyon,
Yep.
Kyon, do you got the info for me? Do you got the inside knowledge for me?
Well,
yes, sir.
I don't have the. I will get you the players here in a bit, but I do know, according to the information we have, they have participated in qualifier number 3 with a 5th to 8th place finish. I believe they had their run ended in qualifier number 3 in the first round in gold brackets. So they're at 100 points, and seeing them this far here means they're gonna cash in on more coming up. So this will be a lot of fun to see Myopsidus on the board. As you I believe this is also a team that is participating in their first SEC qualifier. This should be a lot of fun to see how both these teams play. I think I recognize Namika as well from LWW from Once Upon a Time. Yes, that's the name I recognize.
Yeah, insane carbon player. I'm just like, if they get set up, it's going to be one heck of a show, if you ask me. So I'm excited to see how that comp is going to, if they're either going to be revolving around that carbon or not right here. Do we have the comp here for Myopsidus? By question here, Joan.
What's up? Sorry, I got distracted.
Do we have the weapon pools of Myopsidus here?
I do not. I'm sure our lovely TOs and producers will supply as much information we can here, because the thing is, and the reason why they don't, and I can only imagine and I can sympathize here, is they are a team that just participated in the 3rd qualifier here this season, so they're just a little too new for I'd imagine, but I could just also be making things up. So, but what I do know is that Myopsidus is, if you've been around the Splatoon scene long enough, you may recognize the team Myopsidus from once upon a very distant past. I think they were participants in Low Wing once many years ago, and then they found themselves in the Low Wing ban list, which is great for them as they get to elevate up forward. So hey, I want to see how this group plays. Of course, we will start off with zones here for game 1. Ship-shape cargo code tower control. That is the other mode that is actually valid, but no, it's zones being the first map.
Ooh.
I will also need to get myself recalibrated here. What do you like about this map?
This map is very interesting. I do like the elevated sides on the left and right of the zone here in center. They give an excellent spot for any ledge camping weapons or any anchors. Ideally, really, that's where you want to set them up right here. But ship-shape zones, it is, you know, filled with ledges. So those are very, like, on the most important parts, that is going to be the plat spawn and then the center right there with the zones. I do think pencil is going to be a really good choice if both teams decide to run it. I'm casting a set. I have the assumption there's going to be a pencil on the field. Sprinkler is going to be really good. Also, especially considering if they're running any weapons that want a lot of paint, pencil is going to be good here in general. They're going to want something to ledge camp and something to paint. That is going to be the ideal weapon choices if you're playing on ship-shaped zones.
So here's the big thing here. So we are getting some weapon pulls live here. By the way, huge shout outs to our TOs here for getting us all the information that we can about these teams here in SAC. It's been greatly appreciated. So, but more importantly, what we have here, we should be having a backline here from a wiwi here. I think they have a roller and some machines. I hope I got that right just for you here, Fufu. There with a player, I believe that plays roller and machine. I'm gonna be curious to see how this plays out. For Myopsidus, I think we should. For Myopsidus, you could be expecting the pencil. I feel like that's gonna be the team you could be expecting there on Myopsidus' end. So I feel like there's a lot of angles that both teams can take. But yeah, no, with the information that we have here right now, Fufu, I pretty much got my information correct. That is the Myopsidus group that did find themselves in the season 2, Splatoon 2 lowing side. So, and also I believe we will expect a bow from them as well. The question will be which bow.
Indeed.
That'll be the ultimate question. Maybe the tri-stringer.
It could be Bo, it could be Welshing. I honestly, I would love to see Welshing at some point right here, but I also see, we have our bows. I love my bows, don't get me wrong. But I also want to look at that knot, because I love knot. Personally, playing with the knot, my absolute beloved. So I would also be glad to see that because it also screws over any short range weapons as well. So it's not a bad choice either, but that would probably mean they would be running a Zappa shorts. I don't think any of these teams are going to be short of running cooler, and if they don't, well, prove me wrong, but that's a whole different thing. I think my brain is meta-filled here, Kyon. Help.
I'll help you out here as much as I can. I feel like if cooler should be the expectation for certain teams, here as well, this shouldn't come as a surprise, but I think we've been surprised here a handful times here throughout. I guess the entire year as well. So this is gonna be so much fun to see how both these teams play, and I think both teams have already loaded in. Yes, they are. Myopsidus, by the way, to get you calibrated is gonna be the alpha side. Bravo side is El Wiwi. To get this one started. There's your pencil. There's the Nautilus. There's that Nautilus that we were expecting. Other side. Okay, dueling pencils. No shortage of coolers whatsoever. We do have that carbon roller deco as well, and there's that Zimmy with the bubble, of course. I like what both teams are kind of dishing out here to start this one off here, Fufu.
No, yeah, Myopsidus is a comp that I am all too familiar with, so I like seeing it on the field. It's definitely a reminder of nostalgia, at least for me right here. But I am not surprised to see the carbon pencil. It looks like a lot of their paint is going to be falling on both the pencil and the mini, so I think that's going to be their targets for if you are Myopsidus. But the Zimmy Astral is not wasting any time and not playing any games, trying to find a second kill, unfortunately going down in the process. But it looks like it's going to be a scrap here in center as both of these teams are just fighting for control in the center. The zone not capped once more, but oh hey, it was an excellent Zuka shot trying to find more here, but at least getting the zone in the process.
Myopsidus is actually winning out some of these fights that are so neutral at this point. You were wondering when the zones cap was going to happen, and Myopsidus breaks through with the 2 down. They did lose their pestle. They're going to have to likely retreat just a little bit more, but it's going to give Namika time to basically try to swim to the other side. But they've been spotted. No picks are available right away, and they're going to get spotted out just like that. They do take out the shot. That is going to be a nice little trade there. Wiwi loses 2 of their own, but the shot is going to go down from Myopsidus' end. So there's going to be a little bit of a struggle for painting here as both teams have almost very similar-ish outputs for paint, so it's going to boil down to positioning and players down at this stage. But Fufu, we're getting to this neutral state here. Myopsidus is winning out a good chunk of these fights so far, but it's almost been a struggle to see who will get the zones by the end of it.
Indeed, it's like both of these teams are playing for, at least one of their members are playing for distraction. Let me get him. There we go. Unfortunately, going down in the same process. It's going to be 2 down on LWE right here. Myopsidus is finding, honestly, out of the struggle from both of these teams, I feel like Myopsidus has a little bit more stability on them as they are able to hold the zone for a bit longer periods of time. What? Bro, you are crazy. What? Oh my god, that is 3 down on Myopsidus at the same time. I think that might be a zone flip right there. That is not contested right there on Myopsidus. So LWE finally finding a moment to breathe and getting that zone painted in their favor.
I'll give the Slosher bonus points for getting a really slick splat there. It just comes at the cost of the entire team for pulling something like that off, and LWE is able to break through. I think I just saw the cooler being used as well, so everybody's moving up just like that. And Namika's actually trying to sneak through, but I think they were caught. Just so your Tor was all over that one, but they're gonna get traded with their lives, and this will be a lead change for sure coming up here with the amount of paint that's on the board. But can they get even more just out of it? The Zimmy's gonna go down as well, and there is the knock that's able to take out Nom Nom on a bit of a collision there with the Zip Caster. This zone is stuck in neutral. The battle between both sides here. It's gonna be LWE able to get the zones back just like that, and this is almost this crazy brawl that's happening around the zone here. Fufu, Trip Strikes, at least forcibly trying to put the zones back into neutral, and this has kind of been hectic to say the least here, Fufu.
No, absolutely, with a lot of rotates coming out for the members of LWE, and Myopsidus just fighting for the zone, just trying to fight, and with just one of their members coming in, they're able to get that zone cap just as someone was trying to get their way to the center of mid right here, but LWE was able to get a pretty nice push of points right here, down to 17, but Myopsidus, I think, is ready to give them a taste of their own medicine, already setting up a lot of paint, and is just trying to get anything they can. But Pencil also found a really nice pick on the bucket right here, so it's going to be really nice for LWE to boost some traction and get some moves going.
They're going to have to figure out how to get some of those moves rolling through. Namika is just getting shut down in a few quick angles, but at least LWE's been able to back them up each time. And this battle for the zone is going to end with 2 down for Myopsidus. They may lose this zone pretty soon here, but all the supporting paint is keeping this up for just a little bit longer. LWE at least forces the zone split, forces Myopsidus into these penalty points here, and I feel like this back and forth fight has just been going crazy to say the least here in ship-shaped zones, as we do get to see the Slosher just trying to do anything that they can. But Fufu, it's still hectic as it stands. Both teams are just trying to find picks one after the other, and they're just moving around the map, but Myopsidus could soon be out of the penalty points here, Fufu.
No, yeah, indeed, right here, but it's getting really close, but it's not going to matter too much with Myopsidus, unfortunately, losing that zone to LWE. I love saying that name. It's tripping me out, bro. But with LWE having that zone in their favor again, they're going to be trying to just look for picks, just slowly keep that zone in their favor. Myopsidus is slowly losing members one by one right here, so this is going to be really nice if you're LWE, and just, we're having a fight. There's like 2 people going here for Hayes. Hayes, you're running for your life right here, but you're still determined to take some spot near zone, and Bob's alive. They're still alive. And that zone flip is going to go in the favor of Myopsidus.
This is going to be a battle of attrition in the last 30 seconds with the way both teams have been battling. They've been able to find the amazing angles to get picks, but Myopsidus may be the one to have the last laugh. They're going to be out of the penalty points here soon. Namika just trying to do anything with the Zuka, but they have been out-Zuka'd by Myopsidus. They're going to lose lead. They're just going to need to force zone the other direction, but they're going to lose 2, and this is all the momentum that Myopsidus needs to seal this one by the end of it. Will they even get the KO for extra style? No, they're going to be stuck in neutral, but that's all that Myopsidus needed at the end of the day. It's game 1 to Myopsidus in what was basically a barn burner of a game 1.
Oh my goodness, that was a hectic, and I mean hectic game 1 by Myopsidus at the end. I think what really sat in stone their victory right there was them taking that pencil out at the end. That was gold, because now there's not really too much you can contest with at the end right there. What an insane game. Myopsidus they kept some sense of stability during this game, even as hectic as it was, or tried to find some sense of stability. I felt like we was trying to force a lot of opportunities, but was only they were in short bursts. first, if that makes sense. Myopsidus was able to find a little bit more collected and able to get those longer holds by the end, and I think that's what truly led them to that win that game.
I think you are exactly right with the short burst, but I feel like it goes to both teams the way this game was kind of playing, almost kind of like a volley back and forth we went, and then Myopsidus is like, no, we're done with this, and there too, the pencil pick right at the very end really ultimately sealed the deal for Myopsidus. LWE will have to try again here in this second map. I think this is gonna be a very fun set. The way, if that first map is of any indication here, Scorch Gorge Rainmaker, this map, you know it very well. There's always that narrow alleyway that can determine if this will be a game-winning push or not. So Myopsidus and LWE game 2 coming up here, and I want to see what changes they're going to be dishing out here, if any. It looks like Myopsidus is going to stick with what they know, and I think this is actually going to be the same thing. In fact, I believe this is the exact same comps on both sides just keeping what they kept in game 1.
Yep, it very much is right here. I want to see how their approaches are going to change because we have a very different map and a very different mode right here. I do think the sneakiness of LWE is going to come in handy, especially because it's Rainmaker, but I think Myopsidus is able to move as a slow wave. I think that's also going to be incredibly dangerous if you are ready. So I really do think this can go either way right here. Both of these teams, this Rainmaker's pop, but they're both just waiting to swing one way and get some picks right here.
This is going to be a battle of not just picks. It almost feels like who's going to take the pencil out first or clear out the space that they need to allow everybody else to move forward. And it's only going to end with 2 down for LWE. But these players going down one by one, kind of in a staggered formation, is just making this a little bit more difficult for both teams to move forward. But I think with the pencil finally going down, this might be the chance for Myopsidus to strike first and Venat to shut down there, and this will be Myopsidus' chance to get the first checkpoint there with the amount of clearance that they have. This is actually a lot of teal on the board right now, but I believe, yes, they are respecting the pencil just a little bit, but this is buying enough time for LWE to crash right in. That's 2 members going down. It's just 80 points remaining. I believe I just saw 2 members went down because of the exploding bubble around the Rainmaker. We're gonna pretend we didn't see that there, Fufu, but at the end of the day, Myopsidus only cashes in 20 points.
Indeed. I think right here, LWE is going to want a lot more paint to move it because, especially with the carbon in their hands, they're going to want that ink to, make some waves. But Myopsidus is already popping that Rainmaker, giving themselves a little bit more to work with in the process right here. We just saw a lot of members down on Myopsidus, but they're just as fast to make their way to center and make some waves themselves. And I love to see, this is what I meant, they're pretty collected on this. They all go down, but they're like, okay, we'll go back together. It's all good. We're all good. That was a nasty pick, by the way. Nom, you're doing great, bestie.
The nuts almost went off to slight Narnia there, and I think I know what the idea was behind trying to dive in so deep. But it ultimately ended with the pick onto the pencil. Nanon's just not going to progress much further here with all the members going down surrounding them. And it is going to be Myopsidus. They're just trying to move forward. It feels like both teams are just trying to rush towards the objective, but not getting themselves well collected. I know you commented on the short burst. It's not just LWE. It's also Myopsidus doing the exact same thing. It's a battle of who will get advantage no matter the cost. And it's leading to these staggered members down as you're just about to notice here.
No, indeed. Right here, Myopsidus, we are seeing them just trying to defend against the attack from LWE, but LWE is going to be trying to look to the checkpoint very soon, using the burst of the Rainmaker to try and give themselves a little bit more space as they wait for the rest of their members to recollect right here, but the bubble's going to guarantee that checkpoint, essentially, boom! There's the checkpoint, and there's a sprinkler underneath the Rainmaker. That's going to help them pop. No, it's not there anymore. And that's going to be a checkpoint for LWE, which is already huge compared to Myopsidus, who doesn't have one yet. They're going to be wanting to respond to that soon.
They're gonna look for that response. I just love the setup that LWE had. They use the bubble, absolutely secure that checkpoint as soon as you can. But the same problem is relying on these short bursts, these short pushes. They're just trying to get anything going for LWE, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. This is going to be the return. This is going to be the checkpoint being returned here. So both teams in a checkpointless game at this stage. But Myopsidus is all 4 members. They could move forward, pick up the Rainmaker to take the lead the other direction. They could also play this one a little bit patiently. They're going to opt to get the quick lead here, taking it down to 63 points remaining. Just understanding that we're just going to have to break the tie. May as well get that one going. And so far, Myopsidus, they also are stuffing out a lot of members that are trying to go on these flanks, and Astral actually using the bubble to protect themselves, and that's going to be gone out of the picture there. And LWE is going to have to play a little bit more defensively, I'd imagine, but Myopsidus can't attack on this Rainmaker. This Rainmaker resets here, Fufu.
Indeed, right here, but Myopsidus has a lot of this paint in their favor right here, so they're gonna have, they're gonna be able to quickly move into. Oh, nice on the pick right there from the knot as well. Just trying to clear everything they can. The toxic mist stopping them in their tracks. I think that was a big thing right there. But that Rainmaker goes all the way down to 38 points, already huge for Myopsidus, especially as we're approaching that last minute. We are in that last minute of the game right here, so this, and we has to find answers, and very, very, very soon.
Very soon, and LWE is just trying to make something happen by going on flanks or trying to dive into the backline to shut down Myopsidus. But Myopsidus has been all over in a lot of these spurts, and that Rainmaker pickup is actually forcing LWE to retreat back to burst the Rainmaker once more. They're gonna have to pick up this Rainmaker now. The timer, I believe, is gonna be a little bit more for OT, so they're gonna have to make this push count at this stage in the game. So Myopsidus may be in the front foot here, but they have a bubble. They got the Zipcaster from the Stamper that they're going to use. But Nasa's going to be the one to pop this one out right away. They're going to have to dive deep into this back line, but they're not able to they're not able to Zipcast into their quite and not able to get the pick out of the Zipcaster. And there's Asteroid. I don't think had any ink left in the tank, and it's 2 members down. And we do see, yes, 30 seconds, so it's going to be a 25-second difference for the Rainmaker and the timer to go off. So that's your overtime clock kicking in here. Ellie is gonna be the one that has to retreat here and still hold on to this one, but there's not enough time left on the clock. That there is not enough pink ink for LWE to move forward. They're just gonna have to look for a desperation maneuver. They're playing this one still very patiently because of all the members going down. So this could inevitably end into the Rainmaker explosion, or Myopsidus is just gonna shut that one down. There you go. Myopsidus takes game 2, and it will be match point coming up for Myopsidus.
That was insane. I think right there, Myopsidus just being able to move forward as one was very beneficial in this game right here, because they were able to bring down to 38 points. I mean, granted, we did have some whimsical one pushes that actually worked heavily in their favor as well. Myopsidus just, it'll be like, we're gonna position ourselves as a wall, thumbs up, we got this. Yep. And that's what I noticed. I also do want to mention on the side of BBB, I think with the pencil grabbing the Rainmaker, I feel like they lost a good chunk of that anchor pressure. While Rainmaker does give a lot of paint, I think they still need that pencil to have that a little bit more consistent, if that makes sense. Paint on their side, especially with paint with weapons that want paint, if that makes sense.
And I feel like the train of thought that you could have here, Fufu, is maybe just assign your backline to be the one to pick up the Rainmaker at any given point. But what if your backline is the pencil, which outputs a lot of paint? I feel like I see where you're going with that there, just without the lack of consistent paint. Feel like that may have been the reason why they weren't able to move forward on that basically that desperation push they need to get the lead back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in a way like that, you no longer have a member watching your back, if that makes sense. That pencil can still watch your back, still give you that paint. Moving that Rainmaker can still, because instead of having that paint maker be the Rainmaker, when the Rainmaker needs paint, you can have someone else have that, and that pencil can now paint your way. Have fun. Go forth, Rainmaker. Have fun. Granted, that is all in theory, but I think that could have very much helped at that point. Granted, it's just a theory, a Splatoon theory, but Myopsidus did a really good job. I do like the way they play this game. I do feel like at some points you notice it kind of moves like a slow wave sometimes, and I really, really like that.
And it goes back to how both teams are playing, as we're going to be moving on to make them our target control, and this is going to be the match point for Myopsidus. More of another potential sweep in the making here for here in this tournament. But the big thing that I'm curious to see here from LWE, you notice throughout their Fufu that LWE is looking for opportunities to surprise Myopsidus' backline there, with either not using that Zipcaster or just trying to go on these flanks the other direction in that previous map. But each time that LWE has done that, Myopsidus just snuffs it out each time, and that's the one thing I want to. That's the one thing I'm going to be curious to see if they're going to opt to continue that and see if it works out better for them, or they're going to have to change their approaches. Both teams keeping the same comps here for make them our target control here, Fufu.
Indeed. I'm not surprised we're not seeing any comp changes. They'll fix it if it ain't broke right here. But I love Echo-Mart. Echo-Mart has a lot of ledges to work with. We have a lot to work with, the map right here. But I think Tower can also snowball really hard once you get to that second checkpoint. If you can get past that, it's going to snowball usually right here. So I think this is going to be very much a game of that was a nice pick. Very much trying to find that opportunity, and then we go.
Yeah, and now the question is, when will that opportunity happen? Because if this were to be the same gameplay we saw in the first 2 maps, it really boils down to our opportune picks. There, we see you there, Asteroid, basically getting 2, and they're now Venon's now diving in. This is a great opening here for LWE to get the first point, maybe the first checkpoint, if you will. And Venon's is just trying to plant themselves here on this left side, trying to make sure that Myopsidus can't move too far forward. That's going to allow the first checkpoint to be cleared. Hayes is going to be the one to pop the Zuka right away, not able to land on the other pick. Brooks there with the trip strikes, trying to defend with all their might, and LWE, I believe, just respected it, and not just that, they also are going down anywho. Zuka shots also being fired and nothing to be found. Fufu, we give ourselves time to catch our breath. The first checkpoint's clear for LWE.
Indeed, right here. So it's gonna be really nice on their case right here, but it looks like we're having a long periods of neutral, if that makes sense right here. Everybody's able to take off the knot rehook, which I think is a really good pick right there, because that knot shreds a lot of low range, if that makes sense. It's gonna be a little bit difficult for that mini and for that carbon, but it doesn't matter. They don't care. Ooh, wait, their pencil just went down. That is 2 down. Their carbon and their pencil just went down right here. I think Myopsidus is gonna be looking for that answer very quickly, looking to take back their stack right here. Taking back your stack is crucial. If you have your stack, you can have your ass to win. Nice.
Yeah. I get you right there. You got wrestle parts of the map, especially both stacks, in your favor. Just make sure you can move forward, and that's the big thing you can do. And Myopsidus, they had to burn so much of their defense to just even stop this push, but they go 3 down by themselves as well. LWE is gonna pop the bubble. That's gonna be more points on the board, and they're in great position. The Zuka finds the slosher there, and I'm gonna say that's the calculated Zuka shot from Namika, as they're gonna break it down to 41 points remaining. They have yet to approach the second checkpoint with that. Namika is able to get 1, and a nice little pick onto Hayes. It shuts down the shot, so it's now gonna be a very mid to backline focused group here. They're gonna shut down the Stamper as well, but still a struggle to get to the second checkpoint. They lose the pencil by themselves, but will they buy themselves enough time to clear the checkpoint? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. It's 24 points and still counting, but there's still 2 members down. Unbelievably, Fufu, they clear the second checkpoint despite the man disadvantage.
No, that is insane right here. But there is a will and there is a way here. We saw it with LVV. Honestly, and they're already looking to take a lot of mid back in their favor. We are seeing their members set up on the opposing stack, not wasting any time, but with the carbon going down, that might also be a lack of pressure that just went out right there. Myopsidus is just trying to force their way through, trying to find an entry. They're not jumping out here, but leaving those 3 to fend for themselves against the rest of the members of LVV. Hello, Carbon?
Oh man, that Carbon might be looking for something over there, but just not able to find much. And it's gonna be Myopsidus actually being able to get through to the first checkpoint. There, Hayes is gonna be the one that's trying to find the Zuka. I think trying to aim for the pencil, but nowhere to be found. And this has been the story for LVW in this set, having strong leads here in game 1 and just not able to take this all the way home when it matters. And Myopsidus is rebounding very nicely. There's the pick onto the Slosher that is gonna help there, and this tower does reset. They actually hold the line successfully here at Fufu, with the Zuka, I believe, also taking out the knot and the pencil going down. That's 3 down. Myopsidus can't move forward. Delayed wipeout, actually, on top of it. And LWE looking to get possibly even more points on the board here, Fufu.
Yeah, it really feels like they're in their element the second they get that tower moving. I think like that, once that pace is set for them, they run with it. And I'm seeing that. I really like seeing it. I love this Stamper's position. Oh, unfortunately getting picked out though. We are seeing that bubble ready on the mini as well. So that's going to be really helpful for WeWe if they want to, get a little bit more space right here. And I love the way that's used to force space in the spawn of Myopsidus. Wow. Oh, Astral is feeling whimsical right here. And that does allow the shot taking picks as well right here. Nami with the really nice Zuka right here, but that is also 3 down on LWE, so I think Myopsidus is going to be seeing that. Wait, there's a shark.
Nice try. I think we'll just have to give them points for trying there, Fufu, and that's and in this stage, Myopsidus has won almost effectively a couple more chances at this stage, but if there's anything that Myopsidus has done well, has been winning fights in the clutch, especially in game 1 so far. Game 2 was just a clutch push that basically shut the door on LWE here, so this is a good chance to shine. They just used the trip strike. Nautilus is being used. By the way, LWE doesn't have any weapons available for GG specials. It's gonna be 2 down on both sides. Actually, that might just be enough for LWE to hold the line here, as they may have chased a little too far in, and it's 3. That's a delayed wipe. This could be huge. Checkpoint 2 is going to be in play. Tort's going to be the one that's surrounding the tower. 2 members have gone down, and there is Namika. I believe that was Namika there. No, it was the sword user. I take that back. That was the Stamper that got the clutch picks on LWE, and this set continues on. It's going to be game 4 coming up here with LWE taking game 3.
I think that was 2 or 3 people on the tower that they just took out. I'm so serious. Because we had the distraction, the Carbon comes in, okay, Carbon goes down, and they're like, wait, I see the opportunity, yoink! And with a clutch win, LVW making a comeback, taking game 3! Kyon, I'm shaking my desk, Kyon. I need to see this happen. I need to see where this is gonna go, because we're gonna go to even more fast pace after this. But like, just I think the snowball. We saw a lot of neutral points during this game, and then these teams, once they find the opportunity to go, they go. It's exactly, I called it. Thanks.
That was exactly, and that's exactly what I figured would also happen to you. I think you made the comment. I'm gonna keep reiterating it there. Small bursts from OEW. If they can take advantage, they're gonna try to push it even further, even if it means costing their own team. In this case, that second checkpoint being pushed through ultimately was huge. There, because they didn't have any more checkpoints to worry about if they ever needed to get to that point, and that was a great hold for LWE. I was wondering if Myopsidus was able to hold the line once more, but LWE came up clutch. And the Stamper, by the way, Venat with huge shoutouts there on that crucial hold there in the tower at that second checkpoint. I was wondering, I thought that was Namika, but no, Venat, very similar weapons, I'll say, trying to make that one count. And Fufu, Barnacle and Dime clan blitz for game 4. And you may want to continue shaking your desk at some point here if LWE is able to work one out.
Before we get to that, I do want to mention something. I think how LWE is playing, I think they're playing to like almost disorient the enemy team. You know, consistently behind them with Zipcasters or having to lurk for Carbon. And I think that's what they play for right there. And I want to see if they can find a way to stabilize that even further and see if they can just use that momentum they just got to push that into the next game, which is even more pace. Mind you, they don't have the pace set for them anymore. They have to pace it themselves. This is the Clan Blitz in general. It's just a mode that tests all aspects of your teamwork. You have to be together at a certain extent. So, and Barnacle and Time, it's Barnacle and Time. We love it. We hate it. Who knows? It has a lot of enemies. I'm not one of them. It's very straightforward. You have your mid, you have your push. Okay, here's a nasty lockout. If you can get it, you're good.
And this is actually what I was about to ask you before we queued in was which team has the better team coordination so far, because it feels like Myopsidus has a lot of strong team coordination, but you see the opportunistic team play that LWE is ditching out as both teams opting to keep the same weapons. LWE is opting for these small burst moves almost as a unit, but at times you feel like they're going to stagger in a little bit. So do you feel like the team coordination is going to really heavily favor Myopsidus, or do you think it just evens out with the way both teams are playing?
I think yes. It's like both of these teams have their pencils to hold the ground, but I think the shot had it's weird because it really can go either way. But I think Myopsidus just has that better big paint output, and I think they do have a little bit of that better standing of their ground, if that makes sense. Like LVB has to find a pick instead of have to play a waiting game, where Myopsidus can play a waiting game if they really want right here. But their pencil just went down. They just lost a lot of paint right here, Kyon.
Yeah, they lost a ton of paint there, but there is no Power Clan, but the Zuka, I believe, just got the pick onto that Nautilus as well. Namika is there, and there's the pencil going down again, and this is now opportunity here for LWE. As soon as I say that, though, Namika's gonna go down, but this is gonna be the first push in, and with less than a minute left to go on the clock. This is very opportunistic play that we saw from LWE earlier, and they're gonna keep this one up as much as they can. Is if they're gonna find a pick or two, they're gonna try to capitalize. They take out the pencil, they break it down to 1+4. If I do the math here, 1+4 being the push, and that is at least a great start. Obviously, not a strong lead there, but hey, may as well get a great starting push on the board.
No, indeed. A starting push is a push nonetheless right here. But the most important part is that they're able to hold a lot of their ground here in center. They haven't given up mid. You know, I was just talking about holding. They proved me wrong right here. But Myopsidus, with that storm coming in clutch, they might be able to put into effect that slow wave that I've talked about before. The Zuka coming out to try and find a pick, unable to find it, but with one more shot. Oh! They want to take a really clean pick on that card right here. That is going to be 2 down, and LWE, the Panthers just doing everything they can to even that out. And just, hey, he's fighting for their life. Able to get out just in time right there, but just trying to, I think LWE just doing a good job right here to hold in their ground. Pencil with a chef's kiss pick. I love Pencil. Maybe.
I know you love Pencil there.
Not really, but maybe.
But only maybe. But here's the other thing too. Myopsidus got delayed 3. They didn't take out the pencil, so you just saw the paint come back there too. And this is ultimately boils down to what feels like the entire set is who gets the pick on the pencil. How does that come in? Not just picks up the okay, I see where that Power Clan was, but not just picks up the Power Clan and just calls it a day. Nice Zuka shot by the way onto Namika, and that's a stuck one. Okay, that was very silly there, but is the clan gonna go in? No, it's just the one and done push. They break down 4 more points on the board, but but that's all it's gonna be there. LWE, I gotta give him an applause for at least trying on that one, but all they could cash in is 4 points, but it's still 4 points on the board.
I do think just a little bit of weight on that push could have been fruitful to a lot more points there if we just had just waited a smidge second for MVB. But nonetheless, they are being pushed back right now right here by Myopsidus. So you're already seeing that slasher positioned underneath the slipe. Did not allow that anchor really anyone to position. And whoa, an excellent Zuka shot as well. Myopsidus is trying to make their way in. The mini just putting that bubble down, trying to find everything they can. The Zipcats are coming right after. They're coming in one by one, and Myopsidus is willing to pick them off one by one.
Yeah, one by one, these members go down. They're throwing 3 members, but keeping the pencil in the back line, in the back to at least hold the line when they needed it. And you see just the amount of paint that the pencil's being dished out here, which is just making things a little bit more difficult. But LWE's defense crumbles again, and there's the other push coming in. Here's the second power clamp, but there's 2 members down in an inopportune time. But there is a lot of yellow paint. They could gamble on this one, and that's what we saw. The Zuka's there as well. If they're able to get this power clamp in, this is going to be the lead change. Navika's right there. And they do cash this one in. It's going to be 51 points remaining being the score. And the rest of LBW trying to play catch up there. They are staggering just a little bit. They need to slow down here. Myopsidus has a lot of control of the map, but more importantly, they got lead here, Fufu.
Yeah, indeed, right there. And the thing is, Myopsidus is still really pain heavy right now. We are seeing LBB trying to, find that pain, trying to find that opportunity. We are seeing Carbon trying to come in, trying to make some sort of waves, but with the rest of their teammates, it's going to be really hard. One of their members already going down, their Stamper going down, and try not to... Myopsidus, wait, we have a flight from Astral? Unfortunate. I think the members of ABB are starting to go one by one right here. They're starting to stagger, and Myopsidus is just going to take complete advantage of that. Whoa! Or not! Just got stopped right there at their push.
Yeah, they're gonna get stopped there as a push, but it's the exact same story as last time. They're basically almost staggering in. Feels like they're hitting the panic button a little too fast. They're just recognizing recognizing we gotta take out these members quick. Well, no matter the cost, we gotta go for flanks. We gotta move forward as a unit. But all these one by one member down situations is only causing these respawns to not favor them. They have to recollect themselves right now. There's a lot of control against Myopsidus. The big thing that LWE has going for them right now is that they at least have overtime. They got power cleanse on the board, but it has to start with value picks there. But not able to find one. Namika's, by the way, just going down as well, trying to climb onto the Zipcaster. No dice, and Nom's able to swim right through. But they are still losing members one by one from the LWE side, and Myopsidus may have just bought themselves just enough time. There's gonna be no member left to LWE to make this one count. Zuka's just trying to look for extra stop points, which they are able to against Ellie. But this game is effectively over there. LWE has ran out of gas, and Myopsidus is on to grand finals here in the gold bracket.
Yeah, Myopsidus was just able to get a really strong hold right there. They were able to recognize that NBB's members were starting to go in one by one, and they completely capitalized off that. They said, okay, you're going to come by yourself? Okay, we're going to play in twos. And they crossfired, or they really just picked them one by one, 3 in a row. And I think that was NBB's biggest detriment. They were starting to go one by one. Myopsidus did an excellent job of just recognizing that and playing that to their complete advantage right there. Excellent work.
A lot of credit to Owiwi, by the way, in this round for sure, because so many opportunities for this team, and it really shows that they were going toe-to-toe with Myopsidus. But you noted that before the clans map spawned in is it literally a test of how good your teamwork was at that stage, and the margins weren't even like that huge. It was only like a 13-point difference there. That if you're able to get the fights that you need to against Myopsidus, you could have easily turned the tides there, but. Just so much staggering, I felt a lot of panicking. It kind of felt like at the end of the day there for LWE, and it kind of led to what you saw. But Myopsidus, a lot of credit to them. They get to move on to grands there, hopefully improve on their points running. Astral Aces is their opponent, and Fufu, I think we do you want to continue on? Or do we need to give ourselves a little break here so we can get ready for grands?
I think my throat needs a small second here waiting for Grand. I think both of these teams did a great job. We're looking forward to seeing more of Myopsidus. We're going on break.
minds are blessed that there's nothing out there to attract the enemies that try to take over minds. So maybe there's just too much to know without breaking a couple of bones. Oh, garden will still grow tall. So maybe there's just too much to know without breaking a couple of bones. Oh, garden will still grow tall.
Welcome back, everybody, to the grand finals of the gold bracket here, or gold finals, if you will. It is between Astral Aces versus Myopsidus. I'm still Kyon, Fufu still with me. Fufu, hello.
Hello. As you said, we have a match up and ready for you right here. We just saw Myopsidus win their last set, 3-1, and Astral Aces we're seeing first time here in our block at least. Kyon, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I'll get you going here. Astral Aces here. I believe their first SAC here today, so this should be a lot of fun. They've making it to gold finals has been amazing for them. Looking to see if they can get first for the 150 points. Myopsidus has had a very strong showing so far. 100 points was the qualifier 3 side, so now they can cash in even more points on the board if they even more so if they finish first with 150. Literally a difference between 150 and 130 here. So this should be a lot of fun to watch these two teams go right at it. And Fufu, we saw Myopsidus last time. Hopefully, this is gonna be a lot of fun to see how both these teams play, especially with how Myopsidus played last time. Astral Aces is gonna be the big wild card for us.
Oh no, absolutely. Here it's gonna be let's take a little Easter egg of surprises right here. I'm pretty sure they might actually have a charger. I could be wrong here. If I recall correctly, there might be a charger or a backline of some sorts on the side of Astral Aces. Well, as do most comps. But I'm gonna be surprised if we see a pencil on that side, and of course we did have that pencil on the side of Myopsidus. I want to see how Myopsidus especially is going to be reacting to a new set of comp. It's gonna be new for everyone's eyes except for Astral Aces here.
Astral Aces is the only one that knows their own, and the rest is all a mystery for us here today. This should be a lot of fun to go. We're gonna get your map pools when we're ready to go, but both teams were wasting no time. They're set and ready to jam. Myopsidus is on the Alpha side, Astral Aces on the Bravo side. Look at the weapons here. It's just like the same old story as the last. It is a duel of pencils, but this time add another duel to the list. Duel of Nautiluses as well here, Fufu.
Yeah, they almost really have mirror comps. That pencil Nautilus are the same. They have their short range shooters, and then they have their long range, their mid range here to take care of that side. It's going to be really down to the wire for these things. I think it's going to be a match of like teamwork and skill that really shows which one of these two teams are going to be ending up on top, especially considering how similar their comps are. Look out, being able to take an excellent pick already off the bat. Astral Aces just needs to get that zone in their favor. Doing so, as I say that, they heard me. I think they heard me through the screen, Kyon, if you ask me.
They may have heard you. They have all that telegraphic knowledge. That is not the word that is correct, but I'll run with it anyway. And Astral Aces is able to hold on to the zone for a lot longer. In fact, even more so with about 60 points remaining. Now we get to see the elevation change or the map change by itself, but that is a staggered 3 down there for Myopsidus, and Astral Aces can look for that lockout opportunity if they can make this one happen. Tom is going to be the one playing on that left-hand side of the map, but it looks like they're just going to retreat for just a bit. Playing this one very defensively here, Fufu.
Indeed, right here. Astral Aces has a lot under their sleeve right now, though. They are looking to possibly knock us out right here with almost just about 20 seconds left here in ticks for them. If they are able to continue this, game and just keep this going at the pace they are, this could very well be... Nope, they heard me and Myopsidus said, wrong, we're taking the zone. See ya. Okay.
Incorrect buzzer noise intensifies for you there, Fufu. Myopsidus is like, no, and no. We're gonna smash that. We're gonna smash the sound effect there as we stand. 59 points, 59 penalty ticks, and still counting down. And it looks like Astral Aces has had a lot of control of this game so far from what we saw there. Epic throwing the cooler, only bouncing off a little bit. They're gonna go down with the pencil there at this stage, but we do see the Nautilus. That is an awesome name, by the way. That is Atron there is able to get one as well, and that is Zeke with the stamper. Excellent usage of that, and it's going to be staggered down and just really tough time for these members to go down on the side of Myopsidus' end. Astral Aces could be looking for the KO here soon. There is the Nautilus on Myopsidus' end, and both Nautiluses, going down. Super fired at the wings. They get the stop. They heard me as well. Delayed 3 down. Myopsidus gets lit for another day here, Fufu.
And every time we say they might get a knockout, Myopsidus here just in the screen. I don't know what's happening. I think they're hearing us through the Discord call. I don't know what to tell you. But Myopsidus is looking to try and turn these tides themselves here. It's, just getting all the paint that they can on the floor. If you can minimize where the enemy can walk, you can basically have them walk into you. But Astral Aces, I think, had other plans as that storm comes in to lead them in and get that zone once more. They're not playing games. They're not playing games here.
The both teams really not playing games. Myopsidus is still hanging on for a lot of life here in this tournament so far. 30 now it's Astral Ace's time to get out of these penalty points if they're able to do so at this stage. Both pencils, they pop their coolers. All the specials have been popped, by the way, on both these teams, but the Zuka takes out the pencil in a very unfortunate situation there, but they do lose the knowledge by themselves, and that is a lot of paint that's going to go down there, but Myopsidus has to rush right in, I'd imagine there. They take out the stand, but that's all the painting going down, and Myopsidus is at least still holding on for dear life here, Fufu. They get another pick on the top man as well, and Astral Aces is able to hold, does not get out the penalty points here. Myopsidus gets lit for another day once more, but they are 2 down here, Fufu.
Kyun, if you ask me, I think Myopsidus has like built-in last-ditch effort, because the second things start getting really dicey, they move and they get the zone. So I don't know what's happening, because really, Astral Aces has been getting the longer holds right here, and I think that's what Myopsidus needs. They need to find a really solid foundation that they can work on, but this is going to be 1-for-1 right there, but I think they just really need to find a solid foundation they can work on top of having the zone painted. I think paint is going to be a really good answer to that, and a little bit more pressure. Astral Aces is finding those small holes that Myopsidus leaves behind, and that's what they're using to get in right here. 1 down on Myopsidus right now with Slaughter. They lose a little bit of the range, and these with the rest, these two are clumped together right here. This is going to get really dangerous, and just as I suspected, there comes a zip.
Yep, the little Zipcaster's usage from Zeke is excellent as always for them, and it looks like it's going to be 12 points. Yeah, and now here, do they have one more last-ditch effort within them here for Myopsidus' end? Zuka doesn't find any value right away. They lose 2, and this could be the end of it here for game 1, and it certainly will be. Astral Aces kicks off this grand final set, winning game 1 here.
Amazing stuff right there. Astral Aces, despite Myopsidus trying to find their way in, trying to, last-ditch effort their way in. This time they had a wall and an answer for it, and just stopped them before they can really truly cap that zone for that last time, bringing this first game to a knockout.
All right, that was fun for both of these teams. And with what we know here, Myopsidus and Astral Aces have fought each other in groups here, Fufu. So we should have known this would be par for the course. They won that one 2-1 there in that group stage matchups. They get to battle each other again, and it feels like I can see why that went 2-1. Their back and forth fight that we saw from Astral Aces and Myopsidus. And Myopsidus, I still love that last-ditch effort analogy there, because it is entirely accurate as to what Myopsidus did, but they ran out of juice at the end. So that was a great game 1 for Astral Aces, and now it's the fabled Inkblot tower control map that everybody sees almost every day, I think. So this is going to be a fun second map that we're going to see here, Fufu.
Absolutely. This is my favorite tower control map personally. This can snowball really, really hard. It really is. If you can push past that center, push past that stall, and get that tower rolling, get someone on their bats, you are almost guaranteed to get a lot of points right here. It's a very simple flowchart for Inkbot, if that makes sense. And
yep.
It's like, if you can get that ball rolling, and dude, I'm not over that last-ditch effort, because that is so... I can talk about that for a second, if you don't mind. Because I think the reason that happened is because the teams take off that limiter of risk. It's like, oh, we need to go. There's no time to calculate whether this is risky or not. And I think that's what really forces that those pushes that are really successful. And I think if teams are able to remove that limiter right then there, or remove any hesitation really, that can become more a staple throughout the entire game rather than just those tense moments.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to be curious to see if Myopsidus, if they wanted to play with a little bit of risk here, as with the way the set can progress. And the big thing here with tower control is that it's going in one speed, so the tower can only go as far as it can. So it really boils down to is how risky do you want to play at that Inkblot's plat, and that's going to be the ultimate question that we're going to have. Myopsidus, I can only imagine they're going to stick to the same comp, which they will. On the other side here for Astral Aces, there is a blaster in play, and not just your ordinary blaster, just your vanilla blaster with the bubble.
Vanilla blaster with bubble. Bubble's gonna be really nice here, because if you can take that tower and you can put a bubble on it, or bubble really anywhere that you need that space, it's going to be incredibly effective, and that's what you're gonna want to be looking for right here with that bubble. But both teams are looking to scrap already. Whoever's time Myopsidus in a bit of a advantage. They're already our they don't waste time here.
Fufu, you were so excited on the board there that you suddenly went underwater on me. So we'll give you but I think that excitement kind of shows it in spades there. Astral Aces, by the way, getting the first points on the board. They cleared the first checkpoint on top. And Bubble, by the way, has been popped down. There's the value of that Bubble that they're if they're able to take this one through. In fact, with 2 members down on Myopsidus' end, Astral Aces can take this one home past the second checkpoint, and it's actually a wipeout. This could get way out of control in a hurry. The question is, will it be the KO or will they end up going down quick? Myopsidus will have one last ditch here to make this blast count, and once more they did it again, but they lose all 3 checkpoints in the process. Yes, you get the wipeout, but Fufu, it's an uphill battle to climb.
No, absolutely here. But Myopsidus, they showed that they are not done yet. That's the biggest thing. But they have such an uphill battle to climb that they're going to be in for the long run. They have, they have to get all the way to the base of Astral Aces. And Astral Aces has shown they love their momentum. They love to move fast and they love to move strong. So.
It's kind of similar, by the way, to the previous set in the semifinals where Myopsidus was getting thrown off a little bit with these very quick and aggressive pushes in small bursts, but it feels like Astral Aces is doing it not just quick and fast, but also as a unit and way more than a small burst at this stage. So Myopsidus is having to slowly adjust to how this is being played out, but by the time this is all they're having to adjust, they're losing members so quickly here. And Astral Aces, they do lose 2 of their own, but at least they're holding that tower and the position here in mid very well here, Fufu.
No, absolutely right here. But that hold, it needs to start turning into a push really quickly because, I also 3 down on Astral Aces, so they actually have a huge opportunity. If they can get their members lined up right there on that back, on that pad. But the Astral Aces also setting themselves there just to meet them, knowing that flow chart just as well themselves right here. So as long as, Myopsidus can keep their pressure, keep that going. I spoke so soon because they just went 3 down.
Yeah, just an unfortunate 3 down when you're trying to set up a bad sword plat, if you will. Just trying to make that one count there in Inkblot TC. Astral Aces just collapses all over them at that side, and that's kind of what we're about to see here is Astral Aces with a quick little rebound at this stage of the game. And Astral Aces, they do lose two of their own once more, but I feel like they're content with this, considering the fact this is a 12 points remaining game, and the fact they lose all 3 checkpoints. They're having to force Myopsidus to get that tower back to where they needed to go, and at this stage, well, this tower is still moving along just more. And Fufu, if you're still able to hear, Myopsidus is still trying to hold for dear life.
No, indeed, right here, holding on, indeed. But it's just like, it's when you have to go all the way across the map, it's like you can hold, but what you're really looking for is that push right now. It's gonna get really dicey really quickly right here because it's also not only is it hit the points, it's a hit the motivation and mental right there with such a dominant push right there. And I think we're still seeing the effects of said push in the middle of this game. Towards the end, really, we only have almost over a minute left here of the game here.
Yeah, only just over a minute. But Astral Aces just lost 3 at a crucial moment, and even if you're 2 down, if you pop that 2 down there, you can get everybody to jump right into the tower and get the reinforcements in play. And Tom is trying to go for a flank at this stage, and they may have been successful, may have been enough of a distraction. In fact, it's 2 members down, by the way, on both sides. They lose 3, and that is a wipeout. That is a wipeout. That is huge. Myopsidus could move forward, but they gotta hold on to this 3rd checkpoint. If they're able to get picks, that's gonna be the important thing here. 18 points remain. The Suga gets 1. That's 2 members down. Myopsidus has taken the lead, and they're able to pull off the uphill climb of the century here in SAC as 2 members have gone down, and but they will keep it at 7 points remaining. Astral Aces has to race this tower to the other side here, Fufu.
The tides have shifted so fast, it's not even funny. I'm telling you, that last ditch effort just came in clutch, if you ask me, right here. Astral Aces is now forced on the back and forced to move themselves to the other end of the map, exactly as you said. And they have to find an answer, and it's going to be a lot more high tension, especially because we're in the last 10 seconds of the game. So they need not only that tower in their possession, but they need a lot more space in their possession. They just went 2 down right here. We are seeing deep trying. Well, you don't make some space, but here with that tower not in their hold, that is going to be game. Myopsidus coming in with a huge turnaround. Game 2 in their favor.
That game 2, in most cases, in a 3 checkpoint game, especially with it being Inkblot, that is a tough hill to climb at that moment. And the crazy thing that we saw there in that game 2, excuse me for a quick moment here, is Inkblot TC was a map there where Astral Aces had pulled off all the stops here in the first 2 minutes of the game. They're getting it down to 12 points remaining, just being able to run over Myopsidus as we can. You had the last ditch effort, so Myopsidus had to reset the entire way forward. But Astral Aces commanded so much control, so that was a little bit tough there from Myopsidus. But what a hold that they were able to pull off there at the end there too. The way this is gonna play out from Myopsidus' end is, all right, we gotta recollect ourselves. Let's go and look for the tower and see if we can take out the key members of Astral Aces, and they did just that with plenty. Even if you go 2, they took 3 critical members out. They got the man disadvantage the entire way through, and Myopsidus just took that one all the way home. And I know that it was the uphill climb essentially, which is kind of embellishing it, but that is a rough hill that you had to climb to even get to that point, and they pulled it off with a plane, and now we're in the effective best of 3 situation. So let's see how this all plays out. Here we're on to the third map here in Scorch Gorge Clam Blitz. So for both of these teams here in Myopsidus versus Astral Aces, at the side, both teams now know what they're dealing with. You have Myopsidus that are trying to play a little bit slow and collected, but still trying to find the right opportunities, and they have that last-ditch effort going for them. Astral Aces is still trying to play as aggressive as they can. You had that vanilla shot that is available from from Astral Aces, and now from I'm trying to pronounce that name there. I'll call him Bada for now. With that vanilla shot, so I'm gonna be curious to see if they can take full advantage of their Zukas at this stage. The big question that I'm gonna have here from Astral Aces is, that was a devastating way to lose game 2. Hopefully it doesn't rattle them in game 3 if they're able to make this one count. Let's here, so let's see how this all plays out.
We are going to be seeing how this plays out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we are. I'm back. We're good. I don't know what happened there. It was having a moment. I'm glad I'm here to not miss the momentum going on. But the Zuka already going in for a pick, not wasting any time. Going to be trying to take a lob shot for the ball as well. But it looks like Astral Aces is getting themselves set up in a really nice position right here. Aggressive, and they almost have enough for a ball. But with the pencil going out, that's also going to be a pretty big hit to their stabilization, as well as Myopsidus is looking to take a right angle to try and get in. But that might not go as planned.
Yeah. So here's the important thing here for both these teams is that we saw the great fight from both these sides, but what we ended up seeing here is both teams kind of stuck into this neutral state, and now we're going to see the scrappy fight that has been playing out here from both these sides, until I say that Myopsidus loses 2, make that the 3, and that's Astral Aces. They're going to get a lot of points on the board here. Maybe it's just the 1+3 and just one small clam. There you go, 68 points remaining is the score. They got the cooler out there. They could try to hold space or try and see if they can go for more points, which they are able to. They do lose the Stanford. This push might be done and dusted here. Fufu with 2 members down and no clams in the clam economy. That's all it's gonna be.
Yeah, indeed. I feel like I think those clam spots were really working against them right there as that push, definitely had the opportunity. Ooh, that was a really nice pick. Really had the opportunity of being a larger push. I think it's just the clam spots that really got at them right then there. If you ask me, there's totally no bias involved. But that is very much so. I love. Ooh, that was very risky, but it could have very well paid off. So I do not mind that play from Hayes. But it looks like Myopsidus is looking to turn these tides themselves right here, setting themselves up with specials up and ready. We might be seeing a push, dude. Oh.
Yep. The question is can they get the push off with the fact that Astral Aces is playing so defensively? It could happen because we did see the trip strike being used there to try to deter Astral Aces just a little bit, but they lose the Nautilus once more, and at this stage, this push will not materialize. They're gonna have to just retreat just a little bit backwards. It is gonna be 2 down on both sides, so at least keeps the small clam or power clam, available. But Nom is gonna go down going for the chase. They're only gonna be able to keep just 1 power clam alive. But while all that's happening here, Fufu, the Astral Aces will be looking for another push on their own, even though they lost the 52 gal, and they got trade.
No, indeed, right here. We are seeing that Dipcaster coming in, trying to find more picks on the pencil. The pencil being able to take an excellent shot, but it looks like Astral Aces is here to get an even bigger push on their side, pushing that score all the way down to 36. Pitties are being flown around here on the side of Astral Aces, but with most members up, they're going to try to score another goal. Just barely missed the basket and not able to continue that push for Astral Aces. But I don't think they're going to be any short of keeping that pressure going right here, Kyon. I think they're going to try to keep that as long as they can, because that's just going to help them guarantee another push of their own.
Yeah, I think they're gonna be okay with just getting more points on the board here Fufu with the fact that all right, we at least give ourselves a bigger gap to work with. Their nice little Zuka shot onto Fruk, taking Fruk out of the picture. But I feel like Astral Aces was going to be content with this push for as long as they could, and now Myopsidus is kind of being stuck, having to chase them for just a little bit more. Astral Aces they still have a lot of control of this map here, Fufu, and it's not going to stop until two members going down by themselves is going to take for the other picture. But they broke through the barrier. The question is, was this the wisest choice? If Myopsis is all over, they could actually get a 4th power clam available, which that's what they're going to do. That is 4 power clams that they could take advantage if they get this pushed in.
Oh my goodness, it can be devastating for Astral Aces if they don't pull off a successful defense here. Those strikes are ready from Myopsidus. He's already letting loose as a calling card for the rest of their team. And it's running in with the power clamps. 2 of them are going in and more clamps to call for it as well. Zuko trying to find a pick with the Zipcaster as well. That's going to be a jump into the basket, and that's going to be a lead swap for Myopsidus, but at the expense of all of their members. Astral Aces once again is forced to a similar pattern that we saw last game, where they are forced to make a large push at the very end of the match. So the question is, are we going to see them pull it through, or is Myopsidus going to pull the defense that they need here?
Myopsidus' focus now has to be defense. Another Eclipse of last-ditch effort gets them back into lead with 30 seconds left to go. That is a nice little pick there on the Z, and it's 2 members down, by the way, staggered 2. They're going to have to get out of respawn. They will have 1 lone power clan left in the tank, and it's going to be 1 plus 14 actual points. They're going to have to break through in this one if they're able to get the momentum on their side. Myopsidus is going to lose 2 by themselves. They're going to lose 3, and they're going to be on a delayed wipeout situation. They got to get the power claim in. They get the 1 power claim in, and now they got to look for the small claim or even get the bitty clam to jump in right at this stage of the game, and they will get them all back through what looked certain for Myopsidus to secure it. The defense crumbles fast, and Astral Aces pulls off the win in Game 3, and it is going to be championship point coming up here for Astral Aces in qualifier number 4.
Yon, I'm shaking my desk, I'm shaking my mic, I'm shaking you from across the screen. Oh my goodness, no, just when you think things are gonna get, I was so nervous because I did not see the clam from Astral Aces yet, and it just spawned, and I was like, okay, and they just pulled through despite everything. They were able to just take some really nice picks on Myopsidus, and I think that's just helped secure that win. I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, I'm like half ripping my hair out. Then just what an excellent play. I think Myopsidus really had a excellent push at the end there, but Astral Aces was able to just quickly return that same energy because they were able to take so many, essentially wipe out Myopsidus. It was such a huge risk, and Astral Aces was able to capitalize that just enough to take a lead again.
You know the word that you said earlier in the set is risk. It feels like both teams are having to play that game. It's like, all right, we're behind, but you gotta play risky now to get the lead back in their direction. And it has always paid off, whether you're Myopsidus or Astral Aces. Fufu, this set is trying to take a lot out of me, I swear, at the rate we're going. With both teams trying to go down to the wire, it feels like, in this entire game. I'm sure it can't be healthy for the players either, if I were to take a honest guess. But Myopsidus and Astral Aces are pointing all the stops that they need, and this time Astral Aces is the one that comes out on top. I know before too, this is basically the tournament point here. I say championship, may as well be tournament point here for qualifier number 4 for Astral Aces. Myopsidus needs to win Game 4 if they want to force the fabled Game 5. And I believe it's going to be Rainmaker and Humpback Pup Track being Game 4.
I have so much beef with this map, John. Here.
Tell me about it.
Oh my goodness. Well, okay, I'm backline. I have beef with this map always. That's besides the point. This map is a raging playground. Your 2 feet are never on stable ground, no matter where you are. This map is twisty, turny, and it is wide. Rainmaker Humpback is just, no matter what score you have, it is not safe. Whatever team wants to win needs to put that fish in the basket, or you've got to get one heck of a defense going right here. So this is very much a chaotic stage, and I want to see how these teams are going to do it, especially with the chaos that has been unfolding the last couple of games. Is last ditch effort going to prove everything in this match, or is everything? What am I talking about?
The moral of the story is just equip last ditch effort no matter which map mode you're in. Apparently, you'll just have a hidden team buff the entire time. That's what both teams are kind of dishing out right now, especially Myopsidus and Astral Aces, both of them combined at this rate. I'm sure they have like almost 9 equips of them. I know 9 is not even possible, but that's not entirely the point. Astral Aces, by the way, is going to be the one that starts off on this push. They're going to be breaking it down to 16 points remaining, but Badassatron gets 2, and that is a wipeout, and this could get out of control in a quick hurry here. There are 2 specials on the board here on Myopsidus' end. Tom and the rest of Astral Aces are trying to crawl through here. They're gonna have to escape with the Rainmaker. 1 member down on both sides there. That happened so quick. And Tor is there. Actually, it's gonna be 2 members. It's gonna be the second member down. Badassatron trying to make this one count with the Zuka. No, not quite. In fact, it's 2 members going down, and it's 18 points remaining. And Astral Aces, they start this offense strong with 18 points left on the board.
Oh my god, that was a crazy pop kill right there. But no, that was an insane push from Astral Aces. Astral Aces, what we learned is that they wait. Oh my god, Knob Grab, you feel a whips? No, almost went through with it too. No, that was 1, an insane push, and 2, that was a crazy idea there from Nom that almost turned out to be extremely beneficial for Myopsidus just to secure that checkpoint. But dude, my head is everywhere. I'm still in shock over the first like minute of the game.
You know, it's only gonna get more hectic in here. It is a raucous playground here that both these teams are playing, and it's just gonna be non-stop fighting with how condensed this map can get. I think we're gonna be here for the long run. We're gonna be here for the long run in this map, particularly. Let's see how this all. We're here for the action. Nom, by the way, is gonna be the one holding this Rainmaker there. There is the Zipcaster. Zeke's been doing a lot of damage on that Stamper so far, and the Rainmaker shots are being fired from every direction. But it's gonna be 2 members down on that side, and it's gonna be at the 3. Myopsidus' defense, crumbles down. Astral Aces with the hold here, Fufu.
Indeed, right here. As we are having fights starting to pop out right here, Astral Aces unfortunately losing their shot in the process as members of Myopsidus are trying to find their way in right here, and they're going to be seeing a scrap in the middle, and Myopsidus seems to be the winner so far as they're just able to get 2 picks off the Astral Aces. I think they were cooler today. They did come back fast, but they're starting to slowly move their way forward, starting to move as a small wave right here. Astral Aces putting those rails out, trying to find any answer to try and stall Myopsidus from getting any closer to that checkpoint. I feel like there is no break in the action we're ever gonna have here, Fufu, with the way both these teams are playing. They just want to go. They're just trying to make something happen with anything that they can make. And 2 members going down on Myopsidus, and once more they're stuck short. 2 minutes left to go on the clock. This has been one heck of a back and forth matchup there that we have seen. I saw the biker there. My brain run of this map is very, very much showing here at the stage. But Tom is going to be the one planted near on that side. 2 members gone down. Rainmaker resets once more here, Fufu. Non-stop action throughout. Non-stop action, and that is the name of the game here, especially on a map like this where you really don't know what's going to pop out of the next corner. I love how Myopsidus was able to jump all their members in right here. Zeke unable to do any damage with that Zipcaster. So much action, I'm losing specials. The Zipcaster just getting shut down was also huge because that means you don't have to really watch your back anymore if you're Myopsidus. But they are setting themselves here in a huge chokehold. Those strikes ready. Those strikes would be devastating for Astral Aces if planted correctly right here. Just whoop whoop. Oh!
I love to see the jukes that are in play, but this is looking very eerily similar with the way the set has gone. Both teams are kind of scrapping this out in the last moment here. Who breaks the bubble first? It happens to be Myopsidus that takes up the Badassatron with the assist of the Rainmaker bubble, and there is still some crazy hold here. Zeke is able to break through with the Zipcaster, and that Stamper is gonna be the one that's gonna go down here. 52 seconds left to go on the clock. It is still non-stop action here, Fufu.
Yeah, the Rainmaker will be standing, giving himself a clean slate to work with on each side. We hear Myopsidus once again forcing that pop in their favor right here. Taking an extra pick on the pencil. That's going to be huge. A lot of turf is going to now be in the favor of Myopsidus if they're able to continue to pull that. But Special's getting ready. Everything's getting ready. This is going to be a danger zone for Astral Aces. Myopsidus is looking close to try and take that score, but some pain on the ground, just doing everything they can. Astral Aces, you have to pull that last hit to try to...
Oh my god!
That is
two! God, that is 2 for Badassatron. That is a clutch Zuka pick, and 3 members have gone down. This could be the hold that Astral Aces needed. It was a huge pick from Badassatron, holding this one up to the pedestal. Astral Aces asked the dealer earlier today, what cards do you want? Do you want Pocket Aces? Because we sure do. That is Astral Aces taking home qualifier number 4. They win this set 3-1 here in Gold Finals.
Astral Aces with that was an insane clutch on the Zuka. That was so the two right then there where they found them crowded in a corner and was able to get that collat, including the Rainmaker. That is not only a loss of numbers, a loss of rain, a loss of power. Astral Aces, y'all are menaces. It peaked my mic probably.
You know, I think I have lost a lot of years in my very silly Splatoon life with how hectic both these teams play. I think my throat was near gonna go out on me at the rate we're going. Okay, Fufu, let's be real. Both teams played awesome here today. Astral Aces will cash in on the 150 points. They're 132 Myopsidus for your score there. So this will be that. So Fufu, this has been a crazy gold brackets. Even with all the scores that we saw, it's been crazy throughout.
No, absolutely. I feel like both of these teams are fighting down to the wire. Like both of these teams are pushing everything they can, forced to break off the limits of what they knew. And we felt that energy through both these teams. And I think that's what makes it such an amazing set. It's like although the score was 3-1, these teams were down to the wire. And it was just it was amazing to watch.
Fufu, I'm glad that we watched that gold final set for all it's worth. Your final score here in the gold finals gold finals, Astral Aces takes home qualifier number 4, 3-1 against Myopsidus. Fufu, it is time to end the SAC cast here. Where can the people find you?
You guys can find me at SplatFufu on Twitter or Blue Sky, whichever one you want to see for our shenanigans, background shenanigans, and of course, the commentary. It's been a pleasure being here on the mic with you today, Kyon. Where can the people find you?
Find me on Blue Sky, of course, and if for some reason you still use Twitter, you can find me there as well, Kyon2570. I also do streaming on Twitch, but right now just on a little bit of a break because US Thanksgiving is coming up. That is it for us here on SAC Qualifier number 4 with Fufu and myself. With Fufu, excuse me. I am Kyon saying, have yourselves a great rest of your Saturday, wherever you are. You guys might be seeing this in the future, maybe, I don't know. You have watched the SAC Qualifier 4 here on IPL. Until then, take care. Have a good night.
See ya.